All right, everyone, quiet, please. Good evening, Malibu. I'd like to call to order the Malibu Planning Commission meeting for November 17th, 2025. This meeting is being held in both a hybrid format that allows members of the public to participate in person or remotely via Zoom. In-person participants, if you'd like to speak, please submit your request to speak form to the clerk before your item is called. Only in-person participants may donate or accept donations of time. Remote participants, if you'd like to speak, please join the Zoom meeting printed on the agenda and raise your hand in Zoom when your item you wish to comment on is called. Commissioners, when you have a comment, please raise your hand and I will call on you in kind in turn so we can make sure the discussion is clear for the record and for the public. May I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Kamens?
Yes.
Commissioner Mazza?
Here.
Commissioner Peak?
Here.
Vice Chair Riddick?
Here.
Chair Leonard?
Here.
You have a quorum.
All right, Dennis, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah, go ahead, John.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda with item 5E preceding 5A, and the rest of staff recommends.
I'll second that.
Okay.
I'd also like to make a motion to move 5E up to the top, to 5A.
That's what he did. 4 or 5A, I just made that
Oh,
motion.
You just did it, yeah.
Oh.
Okay. All right, do we need a roll call or are we good?
I'll take a roll call. Chair Commissioner Mazza?
Yes.
Vice Chair Riddick?
Yes.
Commissioner Kamens?
Yes.
Commissioner Peak?
Yes.
Chair Leonard?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, may I have a report on the posting of the agenda, please?
The agenda for this meeting was properly posted on November 7th, 2025.
Great. All right, we have a reorganization of the Planning Commission tonight. Do we have any nominations for chair?
I'd like to nominate Marnie Kamens.
I'd like to
chair.
second that.
For chair? Or are we doing vice chair first, or?
You'll be doing
Chairs
chair
first.
first.
Okay. I'd like to nominate Elizabeth Riddick.
I second.
Okay. You have to say something?
Oh.
Are you going to nominate yourself, I guess?
You don't have to.
Yeah, okay, you don't have to, actually. Okay. All right, so we have two nominees.
Okay, so commissioners, I will call you by name and please state the person that you would like to see appointed as chair this evening. Commissioner Kamens?
Yes.
You're going to tell me the name of the person you would like to see appointed as chair this evening.
Elizabeth.
Thank you. Commissioner Mazza?
Marnie Kamens.
Commissioner Peak?
Elizabeth.
Vice Chair Riddick?
Myself.
Chair Leonard?
Elizabeth.
Congratulations, Elizabeth, you are our new chair. Do you have someone that you would like to have read the oath of office, or would you like staff to do so?
My son is here, and he will read me in.
Okay.
Should I start moving?
And then Drew, if you would take Elizabeth's seat temporarily, and Elizabeth, if you could join your son at the podium. Thank you.
His name's Nixon Riddick.
Are you ready?
I think we just wait until they tell us to go.
You can begin.
I, Elizabeth Riddick, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will diligently serve as
stop.
chair.
Okay. I, Elizabeth Riddick, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will diligently serve as chair
Of the Planning Commission of the City of Malibu.
of the Planning Commission of the City of Malibu.
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the State of California.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the State of California.
That I take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
That I take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
And that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
And that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
Congratulations, Chair.
Now we're going to have an election for the vice chair position.
I would like to nominate Marty Kamens for vice chair.
I would like to nominate John Mazza for vice chair.
Does anybody have a second for either?
I second John Mazza. No seconds are needed. Okay.
And Chair, would you like me to call the roll?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Would you like me to call the roll? Or are there other nominations?
No, go ahead and call the roll.
And again, you will just be stating for me when I call your name, the name of the person you'd like to see elected tonight as vice chair. Commissioner Kamens.
Oh, you're voting now.
I'll vote for John Mazza.
Commissioner Mazza.
I guess I vote for myself.
Commissioner Peak.
I'll vote for John.
Commissioner Leonard.
I'll vote for John.
And Chair Riddick.
I'll vote for John.
Congratulations,
So
Commissioner.
do I move again?
And yes, we're going to shuffle one more time. John, if you'd like to join me at the podium. We have one for you at the podium.
Do I hold up my hand or anything?
You do. So Commissioner Mazza, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, John Mazza,
I, John Mazza,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will diligently serve as Vice Chair
that I will diligently serve as Vice Chair
of the Planning Commission of the City of Malibu,
of the Planning Commission of the City of Malibu,
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the State of California,
to the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
And congratulations,
Thank you.
Vice Chair Mazza.
Okay, so where we're to written and oral communication from the public, or where are we at, Rebecca?
That's correct, Chair.
Okay.
These are for things to do.
Okay, Joe Drummond?
Good evening. Congratulations, Chair Riddick. I just wanted to give you a brief update, an encouraging update about Malibu's rebuild progress, along with a request that can meaningfully accelerate recovery for many families. As of this week, 16 new rebuild permits have been issued for the Palisades fire, 4 times the number from just 4 weeks ago. This is significant movement, and it shows that is possible, what is possible when processes align and we collectively prioritize the needs of fire-impacted residents. And all of them are just like for like and for neighborhood character, in the same neighborhood character. At the same time, we have still a large backlog. Today, 109 remain in building and safety, wanting to join the 22 projects currently in plan check. Another 72 rebuilds are in plan review. These just aren't numbers. They represent Malibu families who each lost everything in the Palisades fire, which devastated our community earlier this year and exposed real vulnerabilities in our infrastructure, permitting systems, and recovery capacity. City Council has the ability to fast-track the movement of the remaining rebuilds from building and safety into plan check. This does not require new legislation or funding, just prioritization and direction. I respectfully ask this commission to recommend that Council take this step sooner rather than later. Every rebuild advanced is another family who can finally begin moving home. In parallel, a group of residents has formed the Malibu Fire Resilience Council, beginning with a pilot in Big Rock. Our aim is to develop a modern science-based framework for life in the WUI, wildland-urban interface, including fire-hardened homes, independent and redundant water systems, defensible space, and a return to ecologically grounded native species-based land management. One of our core goals is to bring together perspectives that have historically been divided, environmental protection on one side and fire safety on the other, and create a unified vision that supports both. We will share updates and look forward to collaborating with staff and the commission and other neighborhoods as this work progresses. Thank you for your time and your continued commitment to Malibu's resilience and rebuilding. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. I have Anne.
Hello, my name is Ann Kamarosk, or Anastasia Kamarosk. Oh, my hair's a mess and the lighting's so weird. What's with the backlight? So congratulations on the reordering and the swearing in, and including the California Constitution. It's going to be kind of strange because I'm running for governor of California. And so I too will be able to get the opportunity to swear on the Bible that I will uphold these, I guess, the United States Constitution and the state. So a reminder is California is a republic. In a way, it's its own country. So thank you very much. Do a good job. I'll be in the back corner with the Fourth Estate. Thank you.
Dennis Smith.
Hi, good evening. Nice to see everyone. I just wanted to say, Chair Riddick, I think you've done a great job since you have come to this commission. I know you'll continue to do so as chair, and it's been unbelievably how well you've done. So thank you.
Thank you. Anybody on Zoom?
There's one raised hand from Ryan.
Ryan?
Ryan, you're unmuted.
Can you hear me? Yes, okay.
Yes.
I wanted to express my concern about the prior meeting of the commission. There were a lot of heated arguments made on a theory of the commissioners knew what safety was, but they couldn't make the findings of fact or independent review and judgment of the issue. And I would recommend that any commissioner that cannot do that, yet wants to vote, should frankly abstain, because in doing a preconceived notion on how to vote an important matter which does not comport to the law and the findings and the evidence in the record, that's an expression of bias. And this is just a matter of policy. I'm not explaining anything that you don't already know, but it's very important to come to the right answers that you follow the right procedure. So I have every confidence in Elizabeth that she can continue now as chair and will enforce the policies and not allow comment or incorporation of crash data or facts of a area of study which was excluded from the matter that was before you at the last hearing. So that was very clear, and it muddied the water. And so if someone goes off topic and speaks to data and things that are supposed to be but not eligible, such as review of crash history and data in the subject area before you in an application, that person is out of order. And it would be appropriate for the chair to say, please confine your comments to the item before us on the agenda. And I would ask the city attorney to intervene if necessary to do so, to keep the meetings following in the same protocol, because it's really the duty of both the staff and the commissioners to do the implementation of the duties of commissioners under this rules of procedure and decorum. And I look forward to that happening in the future. Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan. Okay, so now let's see. Do we have a community development director report?
Yes, thank you, Chair, Vice Chair. Congratulations to you both. Before we begin, our first comment is going to be for our fire rebuild update, and I'm going to let Larbi Azaz, our associate planner, present that. Larbi has been acting as a rebuild coordinator at the Rebuild Center, and he's been helping keep projects move consistently, and he's been preparing the statistics, so I'll let him present the first part of our report.
So good evening, Chair Riddick, and congratulations. Good evening also, Planning Commission. Tonight I will be providing an update on the fire rebuild process and what the city has been working on to support the family rebuilding their homes. So here is an update of the progress we have made so far with the Woolsey fire rebuild. So in total, we received, in total from 465 homes that were destroyed, there is a 375 homes have submitted a single family residence applications, which represent about 81%. So out of the 375 single family residence application received as of today, November 17, 2025, 3% they are still pending planning approval, which is 11 applications. 6% are planning approved but not building plan check. Mostly it's due to the change in the ownership. And 9% they are in a building plan check. 26% building permits have been issued, maybe under construction with one issued today. And there is a 56% they were built, which is exactly a 213 certificate of occupancy. So for the Palisades fire, as of today, we have issued a 425 or 421 building permits and 145 planning entitlements. For a single family residence, we have 73 projects. They are still under planning review. And we have another 108 planning approval, and we have a 22, which is in building and safety, and we issued so far a 16 permits. We remain dedicated to supporting family through the process and advancing as many projects as possible as we can. So the percentage based on those numbers, it can be for the permit issued, it's a 15%. If we bring this number to the total of the application received, which is 181. But if we bring the 16 issued permit to only 108 project approval, it's gonna be around like 36%. And the percentage of the building plan check, they were submitted, it's around the 20%, and the building plan check, they need to be bring to the building and safety, it's around the 65%. So we are working diligently with the homeowners and the applicant as much as we can to just bring those numbers to the plan check stage. So those are the numbers. They are still under planning review, which is a 73 application. Total planning approval, it's 108 application. So if we look to the total project received by kind of projects, so basically there is over this 108, there is a 93, they are planning verifications, a like for like or a like for like plus 10%, and there is a 6%, which is basically two projects as an IPRPF, APR Palisades fire. So we have one project for a setback reduction, another project for a height over 18. And we have received like two applications for a full CDP, which gonna basically just follow the normal process, and we will be bringing those projects in the front of the Planning Commission. So if we look to the planning approvals by nature of projects, at 2% they are IPRPF, and a 98% they are just planning verification or like for like. Thank you so much, and if you have any questions, I can answer your questions.
Thank you, Larbi. Next slide, please. So just wanted to let you all know of some upcoming events. The November 18th, which is tomorrow, the Rebuild Community Session is canceled due to the rain events. We will be rescheduling that very soon. On December 3rd, we're going to have another design professionals meeting. We had one last week. It was very successful. We went over rebuild development permits. We went over updates that are happening with the policies and things like that. If you guys have any questions, those design professionals out there with the fire rebuild process, those are the times to come. Our rebuild center is always open, but those are dedicated specifically for the design professionals to come and hammer out any pending questions you may have. We also continue to have our zone captain meetings in person, and these have been very successful as well. As Jill mentioned, we meet and we discuss kind of the outlying issues that are going on and try to hammer home, try to zone in on what we can do to, as a group, to get through some of the humps, and we've been very successful, and the permits have been accelerated because of those meetings. So the next one is December 10th, and we also have one December 17th before the holiday. Next slide, please. We had one more slide, I thought, but we wanted to just let everyone know, it was a slide that keeps coming on and off this director report, unfortunately, but what it is there's a scam going on right now, so please be very vigilant. You may have got an email what they're doing is they're targeting people on our planning commission agenda specifically. And if you're the applicant per se, they will reach out to you and say, hey, you owe fees, please pay those fees. The moniker that they have is USA.com. That is not associated with the city of Malibu. City of Malibu is malibucity.org. And so that is our moniker compared to USA.gov. So it looks very legitimate. It looks like it's a government website or a government email. So please be vigilant and do not pay those. Please contact your case planner if you are questioning those fees. Our city management is looking into a resolution on that matter. But that's all we got. Thank you.
Are there any permits in the process that are not prior homeowners before the fire?
Yes.
Is there, what percentage? Do you have any idea?
You have a percentage, Larby? I don't know if we have that data, but there definitely are new. Everyone is entitled to do a rebuild plus 10% within the first 6 years and 8 years to get a building permit. So that's current homeowners or whoever it's sold to.
I missed the opportunity for commissioners' comments, so I want to know if oh, Rebecca?
I'm sorry, you can go ahead through commissioner comments, but circle back to me afterwards.
Okay. So if we want to take an opportunity, if anybody has anything particular they want to say to our public speakers, go ahead, Drew.
At the last city council meeting, Doug Stewart brought up something that is absolutely a game changer for people that live next to MRCA properties or state park properties in regards to brush clearance. And I think that we really need to start getting this around. The MRCA basically has been sending out letters to property owners that live adjacent to their properties. If your home is within 200 feet of their property, they're giving you the right to enter their property and do brush clearance to protect your home going forward. And this is huge. And I think that everyone should explore that if you do live next to state parks or the MRCA land, that to try to defend your properties for the future fires. Thank you.
Do check though and make sure it's MRCA property, not state parks property. They're totally different.
State Parks does have a program also.
They haven't given, as far as the news report, they haven't given permission to automatically go onto their property.
I checked their website there. I'm sorry. I checked their website. There is a mechanism to apply to get access to it.
The point was you can't just automatically go whip it up there with a weed whacker.
Point taken. Okay. All right. Rebecca, back to you.
Just as a point of order, because of tonight's Planning Commission reorganization, all of the resolutions adopted this evening and the minutes will be changed to our incoming chair's signature line.
Okay. All right. So we are at consent calendar. So we are moving to item 3, the consent calendar. Do any of the commissioners wish to pull an item on the consent calendar?
I'd like to pull 3B1.
I'd like to recuse myself from 3B1. So I don't know if you need to have a full discussion, Kellen, if I need to leave or whatnot, because it's on consent.
No, because you won't be voting on that one. So we'll vote on them separately.
Okay, I just have some real brief questions. In reviewing it, one of the reasons given on page 5 of 26 was for the analysis of what was on the property prior to these permits. It was quoted that it came from Google Earth from 1994, and Google Earth didn't start until 2005. So I just wondered if that was an error, a typo, or whatever it was. That's neither here nor there, I don't think, but that's something that should probably be corrected. Also, perhaps you could tell me what the two-thirds rule calculation was. I didn't see it anywhere.
Yes, so I can begin with the Google aerial imagery. So that was gathered from using Google Maps. And so if you use like their time lapse, you could see that there was aerial imagery that was taken from 1994. And that resource was used by the city biologist to make that determination that there are no native tree species on the property.
Okay.
Yeah, and then as for the 2/3 calculation, the secondary unit is less than 18 feet, and so 2/3 wasn't applied. Also, both of the structures are single story for Blue Water.
Okay, then the last question would be, in the photos, it shows the front gate and the hedge, which I assume were not there in 1956. So are they going to be corrected as part of this process or not?
They will be. It's part of the after the fact. The new hedge and the vehicular pedestrian gate were constructed without the benefit of a permit. And so under this ACDP approval, they will revise the design of that gate to be in conformance with the
Where would that be? I
standards.
went through the findings and I couldn't find anything on fences or gates.
I would have to look at the,
Okay, but it will be corrected?
I would have to look at the conditions of approval to confirm that there are conditions for the vehicular and pedestrian gate.
And if there aren't, what happens?
We could revise the.
Let us check, because I believe we do have some stuff in there. Give us some. Yeah, so condition 24, the applicant shall include elevation of the proposed gate on the architectural plan, and shall be submitted for building plan check. The gate and fencing along the front property line shall comply with the regulations set forth in LIP section 3.5, which regulates the height. And
Okay, thank you very much. I missed that. Okay, that's it.
Terrific. Okay, moving on. Okay, so, did somebody else?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
I'll second that.
And we're going to do a roll call separately for the recusal item, so it'll be 2 votes.
Okay.
So we can do a roll call vote that covers both items, if that's okay. So Chair Leonard?
Yes.
Rebecca, we have to do them separately because Skylar recused himself on one.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so this one will be for item 3B1 for the receive and file of ACDP 23-016.
Okay.
And Chair Leonard?
Yes.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Leonard, I'm going to be doing that a lot tonight.
Yes.
Commissioner Mazza?
Yes.
Commissioner Kamens?
Yes.
Chair Riddick?
Yes.
Motion carries.
I'd like to make a motion for the rest of the consent calendar.
I'll second.
Commissioner Leonard?
Yes.
Commissioner Peak?
Yes.
Commissioner Kamens?
Yes.
Vice Chair Mazza?
Yes.
Chair Riddick?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. 5E? Yes. Just start reading the description on the top of the. Yes. Next up.
So 5E, coastal development permit number 23-045 and minor modification number 25-003, an application for an after-the-fact interior and exterior remodel to an existing 2,405 square foot single-family residence involving conversion of an existing 608 square foot attached garage and covered areas, with a 205 square foot single-story addition resulting in a 3,740 square foot single-family residence and a 400 square foot attached guest house with an additional construction of a detached 663 square foot 3-car garage, detached storage structures, trestles, landscaping, and associated site development, including a minor modification for a 50% reduction to the front yard setback. Okay. Staff, do we have a... Oh, disclosures first? Okay. Disclosures first.
I went to the site last week with Commissioner Kamens and took a look at it. Also had phone calls coordinating the site visits with the applicant.
I saw it as well with Drew.
No disclosures. Staff report?
Good evening. Am I coming through loud and clear?
Yes.
Fantastic. So good evening, Chair Riddick and fellow planning commissioners. Just FYI, this is Rick Caswell, a contract planner for the city. Without wanting to rehash the overall introduction to the project, Chair Riddick did an excellent job of rattling off that rather lengthy project description. So I will kindly request for the next slide, please. So the project is located within the Point Doom neighborhood, with the subject parcel being a rectangular shaped lot located along the east side of Wildlife Road. It's currently developed with a one-story ranch-style single-family residence, and the property is surrounded by single-family residential development and is located within the rural residential 1-acre zoning district. Next slide, please. Prior to the after-the-fact development, the property was developed with a 2,405 square foot single-story single-family residence with swimming pool, spa, and associated development. Next slide, please. A quick overview of the project background. So the home was originally built in 1949, and Coastal Development Permit 20-052 was approved on March 21st, 2022 for a new pool, spa, pool deck, and fence with advanced on-site wastewater treatment system. A final inspection for this permit was conducted by planning staff on July 21st, 2023, and noted on-site development outside of the approved project scope. Code enforcement staff were then subsequently notified, and the subject application that we have before us this evening was submitted by the applicant in the days thereafter. Next slide, please. So the project, as described in more detail in the staff report, is for an after-the-fact interior and exterior remodel to a 2,405 square foot single-family residence with conversion of a 608 square foot attached garage and covered areas, as well as a 205 square foot one-story addition, resulting in a 3,746 square foot home and 400 square foot attached guest house with a combined total of 4,146 square feet. Next slide, please. So the project involves an approximately 50% reduction to the front yard setback via minor modification 25-003 to maintain an existing non-conforming front yard setback. This is essentially where the northwest corner of the existing home is, and that's located 32 feet and 9 inches from the front property line. So that would remain unchanged. It would just be memorializing that and then the new covered areas within that. Next slide, please. The development is proposed on slopes of 5-to-1 or flatter, meaning that the slopes of 4-to-1 or steeper, which, as we all know, is deemed as Escher in the Point Doom neighborhood, those will not be impacted. So you can see there from the beige colored or sort of light brown colored portion of the slope analysis there, that is the slopes of 5-to-1 or flatter, and no development is being proposed outside of those. Next slide, please. Just looking at the site plan here, I've highlighted a few things. So we can see there at the bottom the proposed 3-car garage, or carport in this case, as well as room for at least 2 covered spaces there, a little more down that linear driveway there at the south of the property. I've highlighted towards the center right there is currently a mobile trailer that is to be removed as one of the conditions of approval. You may have noted that on site. It actually looks like a habitable structure, but that again will be removed as part of any potential project approval before you tonight. Moving west there along the north of the property, there is an existing arbor structure there that extends up to 8 feet in height with a side yard. There you are only allowed up to 6 feet in height, so there is a condition as well noted there, and it's also noted on the plans that arbor structure will be modified to be no more than 6 feet in height. Also a note here that the pedestrian gate there over at the west, kind of the central portion of the front yard, that is to be removed or modified such that it will be compliant with the front yard wall, fence, and hedge criteria there, where anything above 42 inches in height must be view permeable. A quick note here, I will get to this further on in the presentation with regard to the non-conforming development there. There is currently a vehicular gate at the south there. It had been noted in the staff report to modify that such that it was compliant with the view permeable and 42-inch height requirements. However, it has subsequently been noted that vehicular gate there, although towards the front of the property, is just outside of that front yard setback. So I will note that as part of a amended resolution condition of approval later in the presentation. Next slide, please. This slide provides us with a glance at the before and after site plans, the before at the top there, and then the after with regard to the proposed development at the bottom. You'll notice that most of the accessory structures that are proposed as part of this project have been highlighted there with those yellow markers. And if we want to refer back to these, that's going to be on page A-0.1 of the plans. Next slide. This exhibit shows us how the proposed 5,769 square feet of total development square footage will be comfortably under the maximum allowable TDSF of 8,626 square feet. Next slide. Similarly, this total impermeable lot coverage exhibit also demonstrates how the proposed 11,041 square feet of total impermeable lot coverage will be well under the maximum allowable lot coverage there of 25,000 square feet for this property. Next slide, please. Given that the after-the-fact improvements to the main residence are currently evident on site, I'm just including this one elevation here to really just demonstrate that the proposed residence will continue to be under that allowable 18 feet in height, with the note there of 13 feet and 1 inch comfortably under that height limit. Next slide, please. Since the detached garage or carport structure has not yet been built, this elevation just demonstrates that this proposed structure, the bottom left there, will also fall well underneath that 18-foot height limit with a proposed height of 10 feet and 4 inches. Next slide, please. So looking at the proposed grading, there's 378 cubic yards of fill. Cumulatively, when you take into account the previous CDP, where there had been 378 cubic yards of cut, that was for the swimming pool, So that has, that swimming pool cut has ultimately been spread on site to basically account for that 378 cubic yards of fill, giving us a cumulative total of 756 cubic yards, where a maximum allowable cubic yardage of 1,000 cubic yards is allowable. Next slide, please. With regard to public correspondence, earlier this morning, the Planning Commission and staff received an email from a resident stating that there is currently uplighting of trees at the rear of the property. Although this does not show on the proposed outdoor lighting plan, there are lighting conditions of approval. Those are conditions numbers 15 through 22. Those are included as part of the resolution for this project, and any on-site lighting that does not comply with those lighting conditions will need to be removed before a final inspection approval can be issued by the planning department. If the Planning Commission would like to add an additional condition of approval speaking to this, staff would be happy to update the resolution accordingly. Next slide, please. On the topic of resolution amendment, so this is what I was referencing earlier in the presentation here. So condition number 87, you'll see here highlighted in red the verbiage that will be removed here, essentially just removing references to the vehicular and driveway gates there, focusing on the pedestrian gate and hedge within the front yard, as well as the arbor structure. So those structures will continue to be modified or removed pursuant to condition number 87. Just we will be removing the reference to the driveway gate for vehicles, since it does comply with the LIP. Next slide, please. So it is staff's recommendation to adopt Planning Commission Resolution 25-75 as amended, determining that the project is categorically exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act, and approving the project, as I mentioned, subject to the foregoing revisions of condition number 87 as described here too. That concludes my presentation. I will be available for any questions you have. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so now we are going to go to the applicant, Stephanie Honor. Did I say that right?
So good evening, commissioners. Stephanie Honor here for the applicant. First, I'll keep this brief. Rick Caswell did a fantastic job on the staff report. And I just really wanted to come up and say how much I appreciate the time of staff and the commission. First, I'd like to say that this home is a quintessential Point Dume ranch house, originally built in 1949. I'd like to say that the owners approached this remodel committed to preserving the character. So rather than pursuing a large new build, they chose to maintain the classic single-story rambling ranch-style home. The additions are limited, thoughtfully scaled, consistent with the existing development. The new detached garage and small storage structures are simply practical upgrades to a 1949 home. Nothing about the project alters the home's established presence along Wildlife Road. The applicant or the owner is in agreement with all of the proposed conditions as stated in the staff report and the resolution as amended. I would also like to speak to briefly address the correspondence regarding the exterior lighting. First, that this coastal development permit does not approve any lighting that violates the city's dark skies ordinance. And if there was anything that was not in full compliance with the dark skies, meaning no uplighting, no unshielded fixtures, no lighting that creates off-site glare, that all of those conditions would be complied with. And if any lighting on the property were ever found to be out of compliance, it would be subject to code enforcement by the city. At this point, there is no code enforcement related to this property. So that concludes my discussion. If you have any further questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Thank you.
Okay, so do we bring it up to the dais? Okay. Oh, do we have anybody on Zoom? Do we do? Okay. Okay.
We don't have virtual speakers for the item.
No, we just the applicant. We going to begin? Yeah. Okay. Okay. So I do have one thing I'd like to say.
Chair.
Yes. Oh, okay. We closed the public hearing. All right. I would like it, the resolution amended, just to include the additional language about the uplighting. That wouldn't delay anything or cause any issues. It would just be just an extra precaution at the end that could be deferred back to if there was an issue.
Okay. So the only reason we didn't add it specifically is because it's hasn't been confirmed that that's an actual issue. We didn't have time to go to the site and double check that. Another condition of approval is that the site needs to come into conformance with dark sky, period. And there's no getting around that. There's no grandfathering in with the dark sky ordinance. And so upon final inspection, any lights that do not comply would need to be removed anyway, but if you want an extra layer, we can definitely add a condition.
What do my fellow commissioners think?
Condition number 22 in the Planning Commission Resolution 2575 states uplighting of landscaping is prohibited. It's currently in the draft resolution for adoption.
That takes care of that.
Well, just because we did get the mail from Mari asking, is she going to have to call code enforcement to make sure it's dark sky compliant? Is there some sort of answer to that? Would she have to do that? If it's not, if it turns out to not be dark sky compliant?
So I'll work with the applicant right after this meeting. I don't think it's necessary. If those exist, they need to be in dark sky compliance today. They don't have to wait for the CDP. So we'll make sure that gets taken care of.
Okay, I make a motion to approve the project.
I'll second it.
Okay, then we do a roll call.
Commissioner Kamens?
Yes.
Commissioner Leonard?
Yes.
Chair Riddick?
Yes.
Motion carries.
And can I make one clarification? That was to approve with the resolution with the one minor edit made by Rick. Great.
We call back in our other commissioners. So we're just going to wait for John and Skylar to get back. All right. Okay, so we are going to new public hearings, 5A, extension of coastal development permit number 19-078 and demolition permit number 21-020, a request to extend the Planning Commission's approval for a demolition of an existing single-family residence and associated development and construction of a new single-family residence and associated development. Okay. We go to, are there any public? We do. That's what we go to. Disclosures. Okay, disclosures.
I have none.
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 Okay. All right. So then do we go to the applicant? Applicant Richard Holmes?
I believe Associate Planner Brown has a brief presentation.
Okay, got it. It'll only take me like 5 meetings. By the time I'm done with my, chairmanship, I'll have it down.
All right, good evening, Chair Riddick, and congratulations, and members of the Planning Commission. Tonight, I'll be presenting on the time extension request for CDP number 19-078. On December 6th, 2021, the Planning Commission adopted Resolution 21-72 approving CDP number 19-078. If the project has not commenced within 3 years after final city action, the CDP was set to expire on December 6, 2024. On November 5th, 2024, the applicant team submitted a request for a 1-year time extension. On December 19, 2024, the Building and Safety Division issued permits for site work. The time extension request was originally set for early December. However, the scheduled hearing were adjourned and continued 3 times due to extreme weather and fires. On February 3rd of this year, the Planning Commission granted a 1-year time extension, which would extend the CDP's expiration date to December 6, 2025. And on October 13th, the owner submitted a 2-year extension request, which exceeds the 5-year aggregate life identified by LCP Policy 5. The Commission has the authority to grant a time extension in excess of 5 years if the review of the applicant's basis for due cause demonstrates extraordinary circumstances beyond the applicant's control and applicant has exercised due diligence to pursue the development. Mentioned in attachment 2 of the agenda report, the homeowner cited extraordinary circumstances. Since the original CDP approval, the homeowner faced severe personal health issues requiring 2 surgeries with lengthy recoveries. The applicant A. Thomas Torres lost their personal residence, including many professional records during the Palisades fire. Another key member of the applicant team suffered from severe medical issues due to the Palisades fire. The subsequent death of the architect and applicant, A. Thomas Torres. And finally, City Hall's closure and processing delays due to the Franklin and Palisades fire. Staff is recommending that the Commission determine if extraordinary circumstances will warrant a 2-year time extension and either adopt the resolution number 25-84 or direct staff to return with a resolution of denial. Thank you.
Okay, now do we go to public comment? Okay, applicant. Okay, so Richard. Yeah, Richard Holmes, applicant. Oh, and I'm opening up the public hearing. Come on.
Good evening, and thank you for coming out on a cold and wet night. You see from the papers I submitted, we've had some very extraordinary situations, and we are diligently trying to regroup. With me here tonight is Tom Torres' widow, and she will probably want to speak briefly as well. What I don't want to do is I don't want to rush a project without thoughtfully understanding exactly where we are and coming up with a thoughtful path going forward. I'm sorry, I literally had brain surgery. My speech is a bit slurred. I apologize. I'm here to answer any questions you may have or anything you want to know. Happy to do so. I've spoken in front of a number of you before, and Schuyler when he was mayor. John, you seem to be on this committee forever. Thank you for considering my request. And Susan, do you want to speak? Hey, turn over to Thomas.
Thank you, everyone. I just wanted to say that I wanted to thank the Planning Commission for your consideration of this request, given the extraordinary challenges that have befallen this project. And I've heard around town all of your kind words about Tommy's passing, and I just wanted to say thank you for your consideration tonight.
On Zoom?
There are no raised hands.
Okay, so we're going to close the public hearing and bring it up to the dais.
I'd like to speak. I'm going to recommend we extend it for 1 year. And the reason for that is under Council Policy 43, which was adopted to keep projects from jamming up the planning department, this does not qualify for over 5 years, mainly because the letter from the applicant states basically 2 reasons. One, the death of the architect and other people associated with it. And in the policy, bullet point 2, it says change in project ownership, which has had, or architect or elective project redesigns not by themselves constitute a due cause. And this is a redesign, new owner, and the death of an architect. So that is not a good excuse. The other one is the applicant has exercised due diligence in its efforts to commence the project, such as contracting for completing necessary studies, reports, drawings, and plans to pursue and complete the project. And his letter states, as the owner applicant, I would prefer not to rush to start the next phase of this project, but rather request time extension to have time to more thoughtfully determine the path forward. That's not due diligence. So I think we should follow Council Policy 40 or LCP Policy 5 and grant them the 5 years that is normal. We have to remember that this project started in 2021, and because of COVID, got extra extensions.
Okay, thanks, John.
So that's my motion.
Anybody else?
I would like to recommend that we grant them the requested 2 years.
I'll second that.
Shall we take a vote?
Did I get a second or not?
Do we have a staff report?
I was going to, Elizabeth, I was just going to ask Helen if I need to clarify any of the language of that, or granting the 2 years extension is enough.
Yes, and it would be with the resolution draft.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, did you want to say something now? Okay. I mean, what I'll say is I hear what you're saying, John. I also think that there have been a lot of challenges befallen our community and befallen the applicant, and I don't think there's any skin off of anybody's back or causing any issue to go ahead and grant them the 2 years. There's enough going on. So I'm inclined to grant the applicant's request.
Well, I just would like to comment that this hits every button. New owner, change in design, no plan to follow through in a timely manner, which is required, and the death of the architect is specifically excluded as a reason. Elizabeth?
I'm just going to say, and I'll let you speak, Marnie, but I just want to say I hear that, and had we not gone through all of the astronomical challenges that we have had as a community, I would give more weight to that. However, in this particular situation, I don't think it applies.
Elizabeth, I think we have to also, we didn't give them their rebuttal.
Yeah, I would like to ask him. I'd like to ask him a question.
But
okay, would you please come on up?
I think we had. I think staff wants to say something.
I do want to clarify that there have been no changes in ownership since receiving the approval in 2021, and also they've already gone through building and safety and received permits last December in regards to site work.
Yes. That was the question I was just going to ask you.
No, I want to ask you a question. No, go ahead.
No, it's good. I just wanted to verify that you were the owner when the permit was issued.
Yes.
Okay.
Effectively, I purchased the property in 2017, and through certain estate planning mechanisms, I've been the owner.
Okay, thank you.
My question would be, they have permits?
They have permits for site work, so for the basement foundation, the foundation of the house, the demolition of the single-family residence, the existing one, and also the swimming pool.
So would it take more than a year to get the final permits?
So,
I think that go
Chair,
ahead.
if I can answer that. So their permits are set to expire next month, right, Courtney? So this is just an extra layer of precaution in case their permits expire, because if we do not grant this and their permits expire, the project is dead in the water. So this is an extra layer of precaution in case their permits fall through for whatever reason, that they have this extension on the books to carry the project forward.
Right, but John, I know, but John, we understand what you're saying. So John is just saying that a year would be typically appropriate in this type of a situation. And my feeling is that based on our history, we are inclined to go ahead and grant the 2 years that's being requested.
You're ready for a roll call?
Yes, we're ready for a vote.
Commissioner Peak?
Yes.
Commissioner Leonard?
Yes.
Commissioner Kamens?
Yes.
Vice Chair Mazza?
No.
Chair Riddick?
Yes.
Motion carries.
So now we are going to 5B, which is coastal development permit. Did you need a break? Did you want a break? Okay. Okay, after this one. Coastal Development Permit Amendment Number 22-006, an application to amend Coastal Development Permit Number 15-053, revising the design of an approved residential development project to include a new 5,907 square foot single-story, single-family residence with a 1,707 square foot basement, 869 square foot second dwelling unit, a 102 square foot pool house, swimming pool, spa, fencing, entry gate, hardscape, landscape, and a new on-site wastewater treatment system. Okay, so we go to staff report? Okay, I'm starting to get this. Okay, staff report. Disclosures.
I have none.
None.
I have none.
I have none.
None.
Staff report.
Good evening, Chair, Planning Commission. I'm Gina Paulini, a contract planner, so I'll be presenting this project to you tonight. The project's located at 5849 Murphy Way. Next slide, please. Project site is here located on Murphy Way. The project site is split by Murphy Way, and the development is actually located on the southwest side of Murphy Way. Next slide, please. A little bit on the project background. In 2018, the planning director approved an ACDP for a new 2-story single-family residence with detached ADU. The Planning Commission requested a full public hearing on the application, and the project was updated to a full CDP. The Planning Commission approved the project in March of 2018. The CDP was subsequently appealed to the City Council, and the appeal was denied, with the City Council approving the project in May of 2018. Next slide. The project was initially set to expire in May 14th, 2021. AB 1561 automatically extended the project to November 14th, 2022. Due to COVID and severe health issues with the owner and immediate family, the project has been extended to November 14th, 2026. The extensions provided an opportunity for the project to be redesigned to accommodate the owner's health issues. Next slide. The revised project before you is a 5,900 square foot single-story structure, a 1,707 square foot basement, an 869 square foot second dwelling unit, a 102 square foot pool house. Next slide. The project is a reduction in building height with a maximum height of 18 feet. The previous project was 2 stories. The building square footage has increased by 13%. A subterranean garage and basement has been incorporated. The second dwelling unit has been reduced in size, along with the pool house. The building envelope has been maintained while moving the structure back from the rear slope. Next slide. Here's a photograph of the site currently with the story poles. This is a view from Murphy Way. Next slide. And here's the site plan, and I've indicated here the northern property line to give you a little bit of indication of how this house has been structured on the site. Where you can see here the second dwelling unit is actually closer to Murphy Way, and then you can see the little structure in the back is the pool bath. It really is just a little bath. Next slide. Here's an elevation of the east elevation of the primary residence. And you can see the finished floor line I've indicated there and the maximum height of the structure at 18 feet. Next slide. Here's the north elevation of the residence. You can see faintly the basement outline on this elevation, and then the dash line, the heavy dash line is the natural grade. Again, the maximum height of the one-story structure is 18 feet. Next slide. This is the west and south elevations. It shows you the one-story element of the structure. Next slide. And here's a perspective of the structures. You can see the one-story elements and then the subterranean garage. Next slide. Tonight, we're recommending that the Planning Commission adopt Resolution 25-81, determine the project exempt from CEQA, and approve the CDPA 22-006. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
All right, so applicant presentation. Do we have an applicant? Yes, we do. Let's see. Oh, do I? I'm opening the hearing. All right. Yeah.
Hello, I'm Steve Goldman. I'm the applicant. We were here a while back, and we appreciate you granted us the extension. We've been moving full speed ahead on the project. And just to remind everyone, the reason that we changed this to a single story was due to health reasons of my wife, who had cancer and a mastectomy, neck fusion, disc replacements, and back fusion with some more disc replacements. So this home is single story. There's not a single step. The garage is underground with an elevator, but it's also designed where she doesn't have to use the elevator. We can drive up to the front door. It's designed for wheelchair, should we have to need that in the future. The home is 18 feet, and to my knowledge, there's no variances of any type in the project and complies with all the regulations. That's
it. Schuyler Street? Okay. All right, then I guess that is, yep. All right, so, yeah, do we have anybody on Zoom?
There's no raised hands.
Okay. Then we bring it up to the dais. We're going to close the public hearing. Does the applicant want to say anything else?
Chair, real quick, yeah, there was one additional.
Oh, I didn't see this one. Aziza or Azia?
Oh, this is part of the applicant team, also part of the applicant.
Okay, all right, fine. Okay, so yes, we are closing the public hearing and bringing it up to the dais. Yeah, okay, John?
Has this property changed ownership since 2015?
He's nodding his head, yes.
What?
The owner is nodding his head, yes.
Oh, but we don't have a staff person? Okay.
Yeah, the property did change ownership at one time, the initial project, and then they retained it back.
Okay, and this project has already has 7 years worth of extensions, or 7 years And so it is due to be completed November 14th, 2026, is that right?
That is correct.
And they're not asking for an extension, so if it's not approved in that period of time, it expires?
That's correct.
Okay, then I have a question, Tyler. How do we determine whether you can amend a project so radically? This is totally different than the prior project. So is that standard procedure?
I don't know if it's standard procedure. It is a much different design than the first one, but it's within all the conditions of approval that were inherited from the previous project are placed on this one. So it's a continuation of the. It's actually not in the applicant's benefit to have it this way, because if if you guys approve the project as is tonight, it would have a 3-year life instead of just the 2026. So
why would that be? It's a continuation of the same project.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So it's a So the way that it's being processed is actually not favoring the applicant because they have a lesser expiration now with their current project. Whereas if they came in just with a regular CDP,
okay,
they would have had a 3-year life.
Okay, and nothing has changed in the codes since 2015?
There are things, and the dark sky ordinance conditions and things like that, and landscaping conditions have been added to the resolution.
Okay, but none of the findings of the biologist or any of that kind of stuff has changed?
No.
Okay, thank you. If there's no other comments, I'll make a motion for approval.
No, I'll second it. Rebecca?
Vice Chair Mazza?
Yes.
Chair Riddick?
Yes.
Commissioner Kamens?
Yes.
Commissioner Peak?
Yes.
Chair Leonard, I'm sorry, Commissioner Leonard?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, moving right along. All right, so we are at, oh, do you want to take, you want to keep going, or
Well, I think Drew wants to break, right?
you want to break,
Are
Drew?
we doing bird view now? Let's take a
let's
break
go ahead and do
before
this one.
bird view.
Okay.
Isn't this bird view?
Chair, this will be probably longer.
Okay, if people want to take, we'll take a 5-minute break, so we'll come back here at, what time is it?
Are we doing?
Oh, 7, we'll be back, let's just take 5 minutes. We'll come back at
They get
7:55. 7:55.
That's a fast one.
All right, everybody, it is 7:55. All right. Okay, so we are moving on to very exciting 5C of tonight's agenda, which is Coastal Development Permit number 23-067, variance number 24-008, and code violation number 23-092, an application for the construction of a new one-story single-family residence with an attached two-car garage, on-site wastewater treatment system, driveway, hardscaping, patio decks, and landscaping, including a variance for the required fuel modification to encroach into the 100-foot environmentally sensitive habitat area buffer. Okay, let me go to my little directions here, and we're going to go to the staff report.
Good evening, Chair Riddick and members of the Planning Commission.
We're going to do that after.
PD, I'm sorry.
We're going to do disclosures after the staff report.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Good evening, Chair Riddick and members of the Planning Commission. The request before you is Coastal Development Permit number 23-067, variance number 24-008, and code violation number 23-092 for a project located at 31587 Pacific Coast Highway. This project was previously reviewed by our former Principal Planner Brooks. I'm assisting in bringing this item to the Planning Commission for consideration. I did, however, write the staff report. The project is located in the rural residential 10-acre zoning district. The proposed site of development is generally flat, while steep ascending slopes to the north lead up into the greater Santa Monica Mountains. ESHA is present on the northern 3/4 of the property as mapped in the brown color on site. This site contains an existing drainage feature on the property which meets the definition of a stream pursuant to the city's biologist. On screen you have LAP section 2.1 definition of a stream, which is a topographic feature that at least periodically conveys water through a bed or channel having banks. This includes water courses having a surface or subsurface flow that supports or has supported riparian vegetation. Although the applicant has reconfigured the proposed project away from the ESHA, they continue to challenge the stream definition. The project was reviewed by the city's Environmental Review Board on 2 occasions, on June 2024 and most recently on June 2025. The ERB recommended that the water feature located on the parcel should not be treated as a stream per the LAP definition based on the applicant's evidence, which included multiple assessments from private biologists and information received from the California Department of Fish and Wildlife and the California Coastal Commission. However, if the Planning Commission determines that the water feature should be treated as a stream, then the development will require a variance and be limited to a 10,000 square foot development area. The proposed scope of work is as follows. They are proposing a one-story single-family residence with a total development square footage of 4,541 square feet, 1 fire department approved access, driveway and turnaround, decking, hardscaping, landscaping, swimming pool and associated equipment, new on-site wastewater treatment system, and grading. Here we have an ESHA exhibit from the applicant's biological assessment showing that the project as proposed will not affect ESHA. I wanted to point out what's circled in red is some unpermitted ESHA that took place in 2023, and the property owner will mitigate the ESHA impacts through the payment of in lieu fees to the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy. Additionally, according to the biological assessment prepared by Ford Biological Consultants, the biologist recommends planting oak trees between the single-family residence and the ESHA to break potential fire flows. Here we have a partial site plan showing the 200-foot distance to ESHA, the proposed oak trees between the single-family residence and the ESHA. Here we have a zoomed-in version of the development. Here we have the outline of the single-family residence, the fire department approved access, driveway and turnaround, the swimming pool, and the on-site wastewater treatment system. Here we have the floor plan for reference. Here we have the north and south elevation showing a single-story pitched roof with a maximum 18 feet in height.
Here we have the east and west elevations, again showing that 18-foot max. And here we have a rendering prepared by the project's architect. The proposed project was reviewed by the Planning Division, City Biologist, City Environmental Health Administrator, City Public Works Department, City Geotechnical Consultant Reviewers, the Los Angeles County Fire Department, and the Los Angeles County Water Works District, number 29. These specialists, with the exception of the City Biologist, found the project as proposed and conditioned to be consistent with all applicable LCP codes, standards, goals, and policies. Should the Planning Commission decide to approve the project, all applicable findings have been included in the draft resolution. In the event that the Planning Commission determined the required findings can be made and the watercourse does not meet the definition of a stream, 1, staff has provided the attached resolution for adoption. 2, the Commission may choose to deny the project as proposed, or should the Commission determine the watercourse meets the definition of a stream, 3, continue to a date uncertain to allow time for the applicant to revise project plans. And that concludes my presentation, and staff and the applicant team are available for any questions you may have.
All right, disclosures.
I visited the applicant on the site before when it was previously noticed. I want to say it was a few months ago. I didn't learn anything other than the site was, the house was sited differently before than it is now. It's sited significantly further down.
I'm sorry, could you say that a little louder?
I said that the house is sited in a different location now than it was before. That's it.
I visited the site prior to the last Planning Commission meeting where it was postponed, and that is about it.
I spoke with the applicant and I also visited the site.
I did speak at length with the applicant to get an idea of the circumference of the project.
I did have a phone conversation with the applicant.
And I visited with, first time I heard it with, almost heard it with Craig Hill. That was probably 3 or 4 months ago. And nothing since.
All right, so now we will go to the applicant presentation. Rod? Can I get a staff question? Yeah, staff question.
Could I ask you, I did not see a landscape plan in our big set, and I noticed on a lot of the pictures, there's a bunch of palm trees. So are those indicative of a landscape plan, other than the oak trees?
Right, the digital file of the plans does have the landscape plans approved. I'm not sure why that wasn't included in your set.
Okay, but there's does not include palm trees,
right.
Correct?
That's
okay,
correct.
Thank you.
Rodney?
Yes, thank you. Congratulations, Chair Riddick and Vice Chair Mazza, commissioners. My name is Rodney Ackerman. I'm here to present my application for a home, a single-story, 3,700 square foot of living space at 31587 Pacific Coast Highway. Joining me today is Ron Heston, the planner and architect, Wade Caffrey, who specializes in wetland delineation and stream delineation from VCS, and actually my daughter, Ariel Zaka, who is a senior environmental scientist for ERM. And while she's ERM is a company with offices in 40 countries, over 10,000 employees, and while she's done no reports on this project, she certainly advised me through the process. The project, the goal was to design an environmentally friendly home compliant with local code, requiring no variances. The home design is modest in scale. The proposed residence is 3,767 square feet with a 667 square foot garage. When I say modest in scale, it's modest compared to the code allows for over 11,000 square foot development. And the project approved adjacent to this one at 31583 PCH, approved by planning in June of 2024, was over 10,000 square feet. So when I talk about a smaller house and modest scale, it's based on those conditions. It's also over an 8-acre site, so the residence takes up less than 1.5% of the total area of the site. The development characteristics are it's a small footprint, which minimizes grading and vegetation removal. Smaller development minimizes runoff and promotes continued natural infiltration. The home's smaller size lowers domestic water and wastewater use. The smaller footprint and 18-foot roof lines, I think, mitigate the view from the scenic public corridor of the PCH. Smaller volume and conditioned space, I think, supports the city's climate goals. And construction impacts, obviously, are less with a smaller development. The fuel mod plan, ESHA encroachment has certainly been a consideration developing this project. Los Angeles County requires to clear up to 200 feet from the structure. This home locations, if we were to clear 200 feet, the maximum clearance would not touch ESHA. The BIDA report, as mentioned, recommends planting additional oaks, and the ERB hearing supported that and actually requested a fence 100 feet from the ESHA, which I'm certainly in agreement in establishing. The fire clearance distance vicinity map we put together shows the 10 closest homes to this project clear between 20 and 102 feet. So if fire clearance was required to go into Zone C 200 feet, there would be a substantial amount of ESHA clearance, but none of it would be caused by this house. Site hydrology, when the project at 31583 PCH was approved, one of the issues that came up and a condition of planning's approval was for them to prove that they were not increasing the drainage into the PCH and adjacent drainage systems. Per the city's SWIP and Caltrans requirements, we developed the site where post-development runoff during a 100-year event is less than pre-development runoff, so we're actually decreasing any water that would come off this site. The other development considerations, there's a 5-inch water line in PCH at this location, but we were required for fire to develop, to extend a 12-inch water line that exists about 600 feet away. And so that has been approved by the Water District and Caltrans. And we are also extending SCE versus on the pole system with underground utilities about 600 feet as well. The new driveway entrance ultimately will, through easement agreements, service 3 homes with a single entrance, and that has been approved by Caltrans, and it's on the adjacent lot, and that has been approved via staff development approval. The ESHA overclearance was mentioned. I bought this house in April of 2023. The clearance, it was a burnout area. The adjacent lot clears about 150 feet up the hill. It was mistakenly cleared into ESHA, and when the city notified me of that, I was at City Hall the next day saying, what do I need to do? They said it could be resolved during planning, and as mentioned in the staff report, we have a plan for mitigating that situation. Drainage determination, as mentioned, is something that's been difference of biological opinions. When it first came up, I had my existing biologist, Ford, go back out to the site, make sure they had missed nothing, did it all over again. The city had us bring this to the ERB, and they looked at that report as well as my other consultants and determined unanimously this did not qualify as a stream under the city LIP. The 3 independent biologists I retained all did extensive site visits, the initial biota study, the revised biota study. Ford Biology's worked in the city of Malibu for 20 years, has done over 200 wetland and stream delineations. VCS Environmental, Wade Caffrey is here today with me if you have questions for him. They specialize in regulatory compliance. Their client list includes cities, counties, water districts, transportation authorities, Caltrans, just to name a few. And they did on-site surveys, including soil analysis, and clearly determined this does not meet the city's LIP definition of a stream. And Tony Bonkamp, who is one of the senior environmentalists in the area, also looked at it and came up with the same conclusion. In the drainage determination by the, moving along here, by the city biologists, it was cited, and I didn't get this for 8 months after the decision was apparently made, after many, many requests, and it was only after I got in touch with Aaron Praler, who is the senior planner for the Coastal Commission, did I get that a single FACU plant, a giant wild rye, was used to make the stream determination. All of my biologists disagreed with this plant being something that you would use for stream determination. And I actually, one of the major guidelines for making a stream determination in wetland plants is the National Wildlife Wetlands Inventory, NWI, and I got a letter from the director saying this is not a wetlands plant. I got a similar letter from the CDFW, Senior Vegetation Ecologist, stating giant wild rye is not a wetland species. I got a letter from Coastal said I should speak with UC Berkeley. They're the experts in the state on this area, Jepson Herbaria. I got a letter from the Associate Director saying giant wild rye is not a wetland species for the purpose of wetland delineations, including streams. That's the exact verbiage in the letter. I've presented also reports from CalFlora, CNPS, USDA, CalScapes, all describing giant wild rye as a FACU drought-tolerant plant, typically occurring in upland habitat. I also received a letter, and if this is a drainage, which, you know, every agency I see says it is, I received a letter from the CDFW specifically approving construction. And in the plans that I sent them, I specifically notified them that the city biologist had determined this was a stream, so they categorically disagreed with that. The drainage determination was based on FACU species, which should not be used in a wetland stream indicator. And VCS issued a technical memorandum on that, and also citing that this particular plant is seen elsewhere throughout the site, which proves that it's drought tolerant and actually further confirms this should not be looked at as a stream, but in fact ephemeral drainage. The manuals and guidelines that support this technical memorandum are many. USAC Wetlands Delineation Manual, 2024 EPA Study on Western Mountains, Southern California Coastal Water Research, Ralph Tyner's books, who is an expert in this area. And I would suggest that the city has specific delineation on streams and language on streams, but as the city has no specific definitions of riparian vegetation, bed and bank, that you have to look to the university manuals, the state and federal agencies who do have specific guidelines on these areas. In conclusion, the proposed development is fully compliant with the Malibu LCP, and any other regulatory authorities governing this project. No variances are required, and the project has been responsibly designed and will certainly be responsibly developed. In conclusion, the request for approval, my wife and I respectfully request your approval for our new single family residence, and should you have any questions, my consultants are here to assist in providing any necessary information.
Okay, thank you. So then he has, what, 4 minutes and 51 seconds for rebuttal? Okay, terrific. Okay, all right, so now we are going to go to public comment, and I don't have any cards. Is there anybody on Zoom?
No, there's no raised hands.
Okay, then, we're going to close the public comment section of the hearing.
First, you're going to verify that no one else on the applicant team would like to use the remainder of that time.
Okay, is there anybody else on the
I
applicant?
don't think so. I think if we have questions, we would, but otherwise we're fine.
Okay, did I say that right, Rebecca?
You said it perfectly.
Okay, good, I'm learning. All right, so I'll bang my gavel and we will bring it up to the dais for discussion.
I did have a question for the applicant. When you first bought the property and before you had invested any money or, you know, in anything, did you know that there was a stream there, or did you ask about it, or were you told there was a stream there?
I did not know there was a stream. I knew there was drainage, and I had my biologist look at it. And there was a project adjacent to me that was within 200 feet of this drainage, and that project had biology approval and ultimately received planning approval. So there were no indications that and initially, just so you'll know, I received an approval of the biota report from the biologist. It was completely signed off on. And it was only later that the decision was...
From the Malibu city biologist?
Yes, city biologist, yeah. It was only later that that opinion was changed. Yes.
John?
I'm done with that. At least Marnie's done.
Well, I was just also wondering, then you did all this work and then they said the biologist said that there was a stream?
There apparently when the project was initially pulled and I met with the then interim director, Marnie, and she advised me that she felt I could get further away from the ESHA. And just so you'll know, before I even began design, I had a footprint laid out by my architect, and I met with the then director of planning, Richard Malika, and Richard said, looks good to me, taking all things into consideration, you should meet with a biologist. She said it looked good. So I went through this process and did the design and planning based upon those original comments, and I thought, I knew they weren't approvals because you have to design a full project, but I certainly thought it was something I could rely on. And then it later moved, and then it was 3 months later that I heard they determined a stream was on property. And for the better part of 8 months, I asked for a please explain. And I ultimately, this happened in September, and ultimately in April, I received a copy of that internal memorandum that said bed and bank and one vacuum plant. Yes, Drew.
So when the project was in front of us the first time, it got pulled before our hearing.
Yes.
Was this the reason why it was pulled?
It was pulled because the Coastal Commission, Dan Christensen, sent a letter, have you looked at all of this? I spoke with her at length, and she said, I wasn't trying to say that it wasn't looked at, but everything had been approved by city departments at that point in time, and that's why it got pulled. And I think quite frankly, I got caught up in staff changes and the head of planning changes. And I think that's what happened to coming before you the first time. But when I moved it, Maureen was suggesting that I could move it 20 or 30 feet down the hill. And I wanted to come back in with no variances, which is why I moved it 90 something feet down the hill. So I would be completely out of the ESHA conversation.
John?
Okay, I think there's no more questions for me. I think that there's not much controversy on this other than the stream. And I'd like to make a motion so we can deal with it tonight rather than go back for a variance. And so I'd like everybody to look at the letter towards the back, the staff report from the State Fish and Game, who actually rule the roost.
Which page?
It's one of two of State of California Natural Resources Agency, Department of Fish and Wildlife.
Okay. Am I supposed to officially close the?
Yes.
Okay, so we're just up here.
Well, we were just asking questions. Okay. I think you already did. So they did not sign off saying there was no stream. What they signed off was, if you read this, is certain reasons they have to come back if the project's moved. So I think if we make a resolution that puts those requirements in here, we can finish tonight rather than bringing it back. So what I'd like to do is a new condition, which would be around number 56, is from the letter directly, no fuel modification or plantings shall occur in and around the MAP marine feature. Those efforts shall be proposed for implementation. If those efforts are proposed for implementation, the agency shall be notified under a separate notification to the California Department of Fish and Game and Wildlife as described in greater detail. And that's basically the second paragraph. Then the other one that they wanted was they didn't want grading. This is in the letter also. They didn't want grading and the potential drainage. So around number 84, you're going to have to renumber the resolutions. The grading is limited to the building pad and access to this property. Any change would require notification to the to the State of California Department of Fish and Wildlife.
But I don't think there's any proposed grading that's in the area that's referenced at all, so I don't even think that we need to.
No, this is the letter. If you read the letter, it says if you change it, if you want to grade.
Well, I understand that, but if he changes it, he's gonna have to come back for a CDP anyways to get grading for that. If they're not proposing anything there, then
No,
we're
this
gonna
is,
have to
you
deal with it.
have to, this is to get around them saying there's no stream. What they're saying is, we don't know if there's a stream. It's just if you grade there or you do the other, it's right in the letter.
No, I understand that, but
Okay,
the point
but
that I'm
so-
making is that he's not grading there.
All this does is preclude him from grading there without notifying the state of California.
Okay, I mean,
That's
if you-
what-
it just seems like an extra layer, but.
Well, otherwise we'd have to go in for a variance because they have not signed off saying that there's no stream. Okay, and now the other thing I would like to add.
John, are you making a motion to approve it?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. The other motion I would like to add, and that is something I'd like to add for clarification, is our front fencing resolutions have been interpreted, in my opinion, incorrectly, because there's been a bunch of fences put up that block 100% of the view above 30 inches, except for a very small angle. And the code says that you cannot block any, okay? So I'd like to add a fencing after condition number 22, or 27, I mean. All front fencing and gates shall be 90% permeable from all sides that exceed 30 inches. Okay, and that would eliminate these gates that are, these fences.
So I understand what you're trying to accomplish, John. Tyler, is there a better way to form that?
I would say, and me and Commissioner Mazza, Vice Chair Mazza have talked about this at length. The issue is that because our condition is a little bit broad, some people are installing slatted fencing. So when you look at it from the side, it's 90% permeable, but when you look at it straight, it's not. And so I think, because the way you worded it, Vice Chair, I think from all sides, that's also from the sides. I think the interpretation or the premise of that is when you're viewing straight on, that is 90% view permeable. So I think that you don't want to play with angles too much. I think while you're viewing the fence straight on, that it's 90% view permeable.
I'll give you an example. There's a house that was just finished on Coast Highway. If you drive any direction on Coast Highway, it blocks 100% of the view of the ocean. Okay, you don't drive down the road and look straight at a house.
No, I think that,
you'll die.
but John, I think Tyler's agreeing with you. He's just finding a clearer way to articulate it to achieve what you want.
Well, you're saying if you look at it from a 45
No, he's saying,
angle, it's okay.
John, he gets it. What he's saying is, let's have language that's really clear so we make sure that the fence is permeable straight on in various directions.
But that's not what the code says. It doesn't say straight on. Nobody drives down a road.
What's your suggestion, Tyler?
So the way you have it worded is basically from all angles. That means if I'm looking at it from a very, side angle, and if it's not 90% view permeable, basically what you're saying is don't have any slats at all. And if that would be a big difference from the way what's been allowed for decades.
Well, it's not decades. I've been on this commission for a long time. It's only the last 5 years.
Right.
And then somebody made a decision without putting it in our code. The code was written in 2002.
Vice Chair, what I'm saying is, you're right. That type of fencing is relatively new. The type of fencing that's become the issue. And I do think we need to address it in the code, and we can address it hopefully with this condition tonight. But what I'm saying is the view permeable, for decades, for the city's history, people have been approved with slats in the upper portion. It's not always just clear. Otherwise, if you want it to be clear, then I would just say no slats are allowed in the upper portion, just clear glass.
That's fine with me.
That would be more clear.
Yeah, but you won't find those slats more than about 5 or 10 years ago. The
side slats, yes, but let's think.
Well, so can we
think
come
about
up with
let me just bring it back real quick. Let's think about a wrought iron fence, right?
Okay.
Typically, that would be considered view permeable. No?
Right, it's less than an inch. That's why I put 90%.
So when you view a wrought iron
100.
fence from a certain angle, it might not be 100% or 90% view permeable. That's my point. Is so are we saying that no slats are allowed at all in the view permeable section, or are we want to be specific and say that when viewing the fence directly straight on, that it must be 90% view permeable?
Well, how about if no slats over 1 inch?
That's good too.
Okay, is that good enough?
Yeah, that's
Okay,
that's
I'll
the
change my
specificity I'm
motion that
asking.
way.
Thank you.
And now, once you're thinking about it, when you drive around, just see how many of them there are. Okay, go to the top of Selfridge and see if you can see the ocean.
Okay.
So that's my motion.
I have a question for Mr. Ackerman.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I'd like to make a secondary motion to have it approved as designed. I feel like we're walking down amending building requirements here.
Well, I'd like to comment on that if I could, and then we'll ask Mr. Ackerman. But this letter from the Fish and Game, they control streams, okay? They require what I made in the motion. So if there's any question, they said you have to come back. So that's why we don't have to decide whether it's a stream or not.
I get it.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so I do.
I was going to say, we're starting to create, we will have precedent if we start making these types of modifications for projects going forward.
How will we make precedent when we have to follow a senior?
So I don't think I think we're addressing a very particular issue on this project, because basically the project is fine, except for there's controversy between our city biologist and various agencies about whether there actually is a stream or there is not a stream. And I think what John proposed isn't changing the code, because all he's doing is just addressing the vagueness in a way that I think protects everybody. At least that's how I see it. Marnie, what's your opinion?
I mean, listening to all of this, I do have to side with Drew with saying that as it's proposed, to keep it as is, because from talking to the applicant also, I feel like this is a good example of this idea of moving the goalposts, you know, where he spent a good amount of money building this, and then he was told, well, I told you it wasn't a stream, but now it is a stream, and now you have to redesign it based on the stream. And then if we make more changes right now, he's already invested a lot, and I'm not saying, you know, that's our problem, but I do feel that I hear from a lot of people that that's what they feel happens, and that's why they are frustrated or feel like the city's corrupt.
So I hear that.
Sure.
So I want to just,
Yes.
I get that. I don't think we're actually making any material changes to the project, but I'd just like to hear from the applicant based on our conversation up here.
Yes, I'm actually okay, because currently we don't grade within 140 feet of the drainage area or the ESHA, and we don't encroach on the ESHA in any way because the structures are 200 feet away. So if I get maximum clearance, but I'm certainly fine with that language to make sure nothing changes, because we would never go up and grade that any higher.
Drew?
Can I get either Kellen or Tyler to give an interpretation of what the code is and what John is proposing?
I don't think there's...
In regards to the fencing?
Oh, the fencing's fine. All we're saying is in the portions above 42 inches that are 36, 42, 36, right? Portions above 36, sorry, long night. The slats can only be 1 inch in diameter.
Okay.
I mean, I'm inclined to second John's motion.
You're saying that the slats can be no more than 1 inch in diameter, but they could be smaller than that.
Correct. And Chair, can I make a clarification for tonight for this project, just for the record? So if we do accept the proposed project and the draft resolution with the amended conditions, what we are making a finding is that this is not determined to be a stream. Because if it is determined to be a stream, there's different applications to this project, including a development area. So I just want to make sure that's clear for the record.
That is clear for the record.
Is the city biologist available to explain? Because it sounds like the only person that said it wasn't a stream.
So unfortunately,
was a
she had a prior engagement, but I can explain. It's because I don't think, the applicant obviously has a litany of evidence, and we highly considered that, of course. The definition within our LCP is very broad, very vague. It just says, a bed or bank that generally conveys water, or periodically conveys water. And so what she saw on site were potential areas that could be categorized as a bed or bank, but not the full channel, just certain portions of it. So because of that broad definition, she was taking a conservative approach. But as mentioned, the applicant has provided a litany of evidence, including a determination from our ERB that was in his favor.
Okay, so go ahead.
I just wanted to say that I was going to second, I think it was John's motion, which was to approve the project as is with the conditions for the fence and for the grading near the end of the stream. Okay.
All right, so we can have a vote?
I am comfortable with going back to review the footage if you are for the first two ones. I don't believe I have the full language for that condition of approval number 27.
Hopefully, Kelly.
Is this for the Fish and Wildlife? So, Commissioners, it's going to be the Fish and Wildlife letter dated October 4th, 2024. It's the second paragraph that starts with as described. And I'll just read it in full. As described in your notification, the project is located at coordinates, et cetera, with the APN shown in Malibu, California. The project description includes grading and building clearance of a new one-story single-family residence with an attached 2-car garage and on-site septic system. The grading is limited to the building pad and access to the property. This notification is only for the construction of the structures and driveway. No fuel modification or planting shall occur in and around the mapped feature. Those efforts, if proposed for implementation, shall be notified for under a separate notification and described in greater detail.
I would suggest you put who would they have to notify, since it's their requirement. Just State Department of Fish and Game.
Yes, it's Department of Fish and Wildlife will be who has to be notified.
That sounds great.
And I think I heard it was the riverine feature is what it's worded as, not the riparian.
Yes.
Just to make sure that's clear.
And then, was the grading included in that? Because I had split it in two different sections because it's two different sections of the
it's probably easiest just to do this.
Resolution, but you can put it wherever you want.
Yeah.
Okay, is that clear?
Yes. We'll wait for Rebecca.
So I heard 2 seconds for that motion. I believe I heard Chair Riddick second it and Commissioner Peak second it.
And he thirded it.
All right. So Commissioner Mazza?
Yes.
Chair Riddick?
Yes.
Commissioner Kamens?
Yes.
Commissioner Peak?
Yes.
Commissioner Leonard?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, we are moving on to 5D. Coastal Development Permit 24-002, Site Plan Review number 24-021, and Demolition Permit number 24-003, an application to demolish an existing single-family residence and associated development and construct a new single-family residence and associated development, including a site plan review for construction in excess of 18 feet in height, up to 28 feet for a pitched roof. Okay. So we will go to the applicant team, or no, we do the Okay, we do the staff report first, then disclosures. Okay, go, staff report.
All right, good evening, Chair Riddick and Commissioners. Tonight I will be presenting on CDP number 24-002 for the demolition of an existing single-family residence and construction of a new single-family residence and associated development. The project is located at 7352 Birdview Avenue, north of Point Doom Natural Preserve and east of Westward Beach. The property is relatively flat and is currently developed with an existing single-family residence and other site development. The proposed project would be to demolish the existing house, carport, shed, and guest house and abandon the existing septic system. The site will then be constructed with a new single-family residence up to 28 feet in height for a pitched roof, swimming pool, spa, retaining walls not to exceed 6 feet in height, installation of a new landscaping and hardscaping, grading, and a new septic system. To accommodate the proposed development, 2 discretionary requests are proposed, the first being a demolition permit to demolish the existing single-family residence and the site plan review for heights exceeding 18 feet up to 28 feet for a pitched roof. Here is a visual of the proposed development. There is no development proposed east of the proposed septic system, so this is a partial site plan. We did receive public correspondence starting on June 12, 2025. Story poles were installed at the site to depict the size, bulk, and location of the proposed single-family residence. That same day, the neighboring property owner contacted city staff to express concerns regarding privacy, sunlight exposure, and neighborhood character. The item before you was originally scheduled for the August 18th public hearing. That same day, staff received correspondence from a concerned party regarding the 2/3 calculation, privacy along the northern facade, and solar access. In total, staff received 39 emails, 35 in which are in opposition and 4 in favor of the project. Since the original public hearing date, the applicant has revised their project by decreasing the area of the subterranean garage by 134 square feet, increasing the main level by 29 square feet, and reducing the upper level by 31 square feet. This resulted in a structure that is 7 square feet smaller than what was originally proposed in August. And to comply with the 2/3 calculation, the interior staircase was divided between the main and second floor. This is a story pole photo that was taken from Birdview Avenue, looking east towards the project site. It does capture both the existing and proposed single-family residence. This photo provides a west-facing view towards the proposed single-family residence, and it's taken from inside the subject site. Here is a view of the proposed single-family residence that was taken from the neighboring property. And depicted here is the tallest portion of the proposed single-family residence, which is visible from the clear story windows of the neighboring primary living area. Depicted here are the elevations of the proposed residence. The image on the left is the western perspective of the single-family residence that would be visible from Birdview Avenue, and the visual on the right is elevations looking from inside the property. Here is the southern building facade. And here is the northern building facade. And to ensure privacy along that facade, the height of the habitable space within the residence would not exceed 20.9 feet, and the following revisions were made. 44% reduction in glazing from what was originally proposed, including the removal of the stairway window, decrease in height for the upper level windows, and the incorporation of non-glare glass to reduce reflections and glare onto the neighboring property. The applicant team did collect data from the surrounding properties and prepared a neighborhood character study within a 500-foot radius of the subject site, where they analyzed bulk, size, number of stories, and setbacks. The neighborhood character analyzed 30 properties. However, the table reflected on the screen is for the properties closest to the subject site. The neighborhood character study found the following. The average structure size is 5,055 square feet. The majority of the single-family residents, which is 73%, are 2 stories or more, while the remaining developed parcels are single-story. The average front yard setback for properties on the land side of Birdview is 41.2 feet, whereas the proposed single-family residence would be constructed further into the parcel and would be set back 92.3 feet from the front property line. The location of the new single-family residence would not have an impact on the neighbor's primary view corridor. In conclusion, the proposed development would exceed the average structure size and lot coverage. However, the proposed project would not be the largest home in the neighborhood. The applicant is requesting a site plan review for height exceeding 18 feet, and findings regarding impacts to the surrounding solar access must be made. A shadow analysis was prepared from a government website to determine that during the spring months, shown on the left, shadows would be cast on the neighboring properties, but it would not affect solar collection during the peak production hours, which is 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And the image depicted on the right is the shadow projection during the sunniest day of the year, which is the summer solstice, and would not cast a shadow on the neighboring property. In the event that the neighboring property had rooftop solar installed, which they currently do not have, the proposed residence is not considered to cast a shadow that could impact solar access. Staff did include in the resolution condition number 25, where no furniture or other attachments, whether temporary or fixed, may be left overnight on the terrace taller than the railing as measured from the adjacent grade. And finally, staff is recommending that the Planning Commission adopt resolution number 25-66 to determine that the project is categorically exempt from CEQA, and is recommending approval for CDP number 24-002. Staff is here and also the applicant team to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Okay, so now we go to disclosures and any questions for staff.
I did a site visit with Commissioner Kamens prior to the last hearing when it was on the calendar, and I also met with the next door neighbor. I had a phone conversation this morning with the applicant's representative.
I visited with Drew, and we also saw the neighbor's property and how this impacted their property.
I met with both the applicant at the site, and I also visited the neighbors and walked their property and viewed the applicant's project from their property as well.
I'm on the board of Malibu Township Council, and they have commented on this project. I recused myself in all discussions related to this project. I also received a request to see the property from the next door neighbor by email prior to the last hearing. I responded, but I never got a response back. So I did not see that property. Other than that, everything is in the record that I've seen.
Okay. Go to the applicant.
Good evening. Good evening, Chair Riddick and Vice Chair Mazza and Planning Commissioners. My name is Sam Malkowitz. I'm the applicant for this project. I just want to take a quick second to thank staff, Tyler, Courtney, and also Renika was super helpful on this project too for the time that we've been processing with the planning department. So as you know, and as it was mentioned, we have a lot of neighbor opposition. And so this is a brief presentation that will kind of touch on all of those items that they are taking issue with. Okay, so this is a visual analysis that shows that within a 500-foot radius of the proposed project, 27% of parcels have a one-story dwelling and 73% of parcels have a dwelling with 2 stories or more. It also shows that we are the only parcel on our side of the street that does not have 2 stories. And thus the proposed project is far more consistent with neighborhood character than what is currently existing. So while neighborhood character needs to be evaluated with current existing conditions, I wanted to show you what the original construction on our and our neighbor's parcel looked like around the time that they were constructed, as well as the condition of the neighborhood around that time. This is what it looks like now, and as you can see, the neighborhood is nearly fully developed, and much of what was there is substantially larger. So for this slide, I first want to say that I don't mean any offense by singling out our opposition in this example, but rather I just wanted to point out that the neighborhood has been evolving for a long time, and despite this, the existing development on our site is still the original 1961 building footprint with the addition of one-car carport. Oops, sorry, I'll go back one. Whereas the parcel next door is a significantly large addition to the original building that was done in the 1980s, which helped set the trend for larger development in the neighborhood. So myself, the property owner, and our contractor met with the Katz family at their home in June, shortly after we learned about their oppositions and their concerns. And although their concerns related to privacy are not a required finding to be made for a CDP or an SPR, we understand their concerns and didn't take them lightly. Over the last few months, our team has been working on ways that we can feasibly alter our project to address their concerns, regardless of the merit. And the project in front of you tonight differs a little bit from the one that was supposed to be in front of you in August, but the most notable difference is that the overall size of the windows on the side facing our opposing neighbor has been reduced by an overall 44%. To achieve this, we completely removed the large stairwell window that spanned the first and second floor, as well as reduced the size of all of the second floor windows. And again, while the property owner of the proposed project is not required or obligated to make any changes in response to neighboring opposition, since we fully comply, we hope that this can be accepted as a reasonable effort to address their concern about privacy. This map has been provided to show that we are not affecting anybody's primary view toward the ocean, the point, or the Santa Monica Mountains. We specifically set the proposed dwelling back further than the required 65-foot front yard setback to protect our adjacent neighbors' lateral views, since they likely have a view of both the ocean and the point from a second story, which is technically not considered a protected primary view area per the MMC. Regardless, we made sure not to impact anybody in that way. So to conclude, the proposed project brings an existing non-conforming parcel into conformance with all applicable zoning codes and ordinances, as well as the LA County Fire and Building Code, and thus making this a fire-hardened and overall safer development that benefits the immediate neighborhood and the environment. All applicable findings have been made to consider this an approvable project with planning staff support. In addition to substantial conformance with the Malibu General Plan, MMC, and LCP, we also substantially conform to neighborhood character. With Coastal Commission records, I was able to confirm that our southern neighbor's building height is 26 feet with a pitched roof. And when comparing that to the height of our neighbor in the north, it also appears that their building height is well over 18 feet tall. Since this is something that they and the majority of the neighborhood have been able to accomplish and enjoy, of course, with the exception of beachfront properties, my client would also appreciate the opportunity to do so. And because it's been brought up in opposition letters, I do just also want to point out that we are not increasing density by any means. We are just replacing a 60-year-old single-family dwelling with a newer construction, and we are completely within zoning and building code and ordinances. And this is who we have available tonight: myself, Jamie Harnish, Justin Trio, Drew, Alan, and Pat, all on our team here to answer your questions. And then before we save the rest of our time, I'm going to invite Justin up to say a few words. So thank you. I don't know if you want to go to any particulars.
Good evening. Chair Rick and Commissioners, I'm Justin Trujillo. I'm a land use attorney with Elkins Cult representing the applicants. I want to start by thanking planning staff for their exemplary and thorough analysis and recommendation for approval, which confirms that this project complies with every applicable LCP and municipal code standard. Before the public comments begin, I want to briefly address the themes you'll likely hear tonight from the opposition. First, privacy and sunlight. These concerns are understandable, but as staff has confirmed, the project complies with all LCP and municipal code regulations designed to address privacy or sunlight between private properties. The project meets all required setbacks, and the applicant went well beyond what the law requires to address privacy concerns, including reducing the height of northern-facing windows, lowering habitable height on that side to 20.9 feet, and maintaining landscape screening. Second, neighborhood character. The objective data in the staff report shows that multi-story homes are the overwhelming pattern on Birdview. Many are larger than this project, and typical front setbacks are much smaller than the over 90-foot setback proposed here. This home fits well within the established development pattern. Subjective preferences cannot override the clear data before you. Third, legal standards. You will likely hear arguments about violating city land use policies, view preservation, or generalized privacy rights. These provisions do not regulate building design between private properties, and California law does not recognize a right to air, light, or view across property lines in general. The project complies with the standards the city has adopted to implement its policies. Finally, they'll call the neighboring home historic and iconic and reference the length of time neighbors have lived there. However, it's not on any historic register. Age and length of ownership don't create special rights to block compliant development. In short, the opposition will present concerns, but none provide a legal or factual basis for denial. The opposition wants you to deny a fully compliant project because they prefer the existing conditions. That's not a legal standard. The standard is compliance with adopted regulations and making the required findings, which staff confirms we meet and that the commission can make here tonight. The record is clear. The project is fully compliant, well-designed, and thoughtfully refined to address neighbor concerns. We respectfully ask that you adopt staff's recommendations for approval. Thank you, and we'd like to reserve the rest of our time for rebuttal.
We're reserving your 6 minutes and 32 seconds for rebuttal. And then I just want to make sure when I have a package like this that says applicant team, and we've heard from the applicant team, I'm assuming nobody else needs to speak at this time from the applicant team. Only, excuse me?
Some are for questions.
Okay, got it. Okay, so we'll put that aside. And then we are going to the public. Okay, so Joe Drummond. It says 5 minutes donated for a total of 8 minutes. Help me interpret that.
And then, Chair, if you could read the names of those members of the public who are donating time so they can confirm that they're in attendance.
Okay, we ask them to raise their hand, or do I read the names?
Read the names.
You read the names and they can indicate
So I
that
guess
they're here.
Annie Kay, is that correct?
Over there.
Okay, Annie Kay, Bill Sampson, Ashley St. John, Zach Katz, Deborah DeCray, and that's it. Okay, Joe, you're up.
Thank you. I don't think I'll use all 8 minutes, but it's good to have, so I can go slow. Good evening, commissioners. Oh, where's my little clicker? Oh, here it is. Thank you. Malibu Township Council has supported reasonable community-aligned development since 1947. Malibu's general plan, LCP, LIP, and mission statement require that all projects protect rural character, privacy, natural light, open space, and neighborhood compatibility, especially in a sensitive area like Point Dume beside the natural preserve here. The project at 7352 Birdview does not meet these requirements. We respectfully ask you to deny it because the findings cannot be made legally, factually, or ethically. Please look at these story pools. The applicant proposes a 28-foot, almost 7,000 square foot, which is almost triple the size of the original home structure, only 7 feet from the historic pre-cityhood Katz property. The tallest and closest massing to any structure anywhere on the block is proposed. It creates a wall that eliminates privacy, sunlight, sky exposure, ocean airflow, and the open space character that defines Birdview Avenue. It really looks more like a prison when I saw those pictures, more than a home after seeing the staff report. The MMC defines rural as open space, residential privacy, minimal artificial light, development subordinate to nature, low intensity, non-urban form. A 28-foot mass placed 7 feet from a neighbor violates every part of this definition. It is designed for an out-of-town new owner, LLC, who has never lived in Point Dume as an urban multi-story party spec house, not a home compatible with Point Dume for families. There are more than 25 Point Dume residents out of over hundreds of Friends and Malibu residents and MTC members opposing this project, unlike the claims of 3 or 4 by the applicant. The applicant's neighborhood character study, which I was looking at, is completely unusable and inaccurate. We were at the site, we were on the street just the other day, and we measured from every house to the property line with permission. And we saw that and then we looked at the stories as well, and there are over 50% are incorrect in story counts, likely more, but we only checked the one block from Point Dume Preserve to the end of Birdview at 7310, and we found 8 were mislabeled. So actually more homes are 1-story on that side of the street than anything, and one 1-story home was omitted. All the side setbacks were mismeasured. They're 100% error rate. So they were all like 3 times greater than what they were saying. Oceanside homes included in a supposed landside analysis, and no height data, even though height is the central SPR factor. And this is not a clean sheets project given the site plan review and needs to make findings to be approved, which it cannot make one of them. A study this inaccurate cannot support findings under LIP 3.6 or 13.27.5 for the site plan review. These photos show how inaccurate the study is. 7316 Birdview is 1-story on the right, not 2, and 7310 is under 20 feet, even as one of the rare 2-story homes. This block is overwhelmingly 1-story, under 20 feet, with wide setbacks. The proposed 28-foot structure at 7.5 feet is a clear outlier. Now let's talk solar access, which is jeopardized. A 28-foot wall this close casts 700-foot morning shadow across multiple Birdview homes, including the Katz residence. This causes complete loss of morning sunlight for the Katz home, substantial solar loss for homes to the north, and impacts that were never evaluated by the applicant on those other homes. And critically, if the home were lower or at the Katz's home height or placed toward the rear, none of these solar impacts would occur. And as an aside, you can see this shadow map. The lot in question is half the size of the Katz parcel, yet attempts to build a home larger than the Katz residence. In Point Dume, modest lots have modest homes. Oversized massing on undersized lots undermines neighborhood character. It's one of the skinniest lots there. Under LIP 17.62.040 D5, the project does not affect solar access. If solar access is affected at all, the SPR cannot be approved. Solar access is affected, this finding cannot be made. At 7322 Birdview, adjacent to the other side of the Katz property line, the taller massing is placed toward the rear where it does not dominate the Katz home. Even though 7322 sits only 8 feet from the Katz line, it remains unobtrusive because its siting is appropriate. It does not loom over their residence. And importantly, 7322 sits on a lot the same size as the proposed lot at 7352 Birdview, yet achieves incompatibility entirely through correct siting. This proves the applicant could avoid impacts but chose not to. At 7328, the 1-story ADU sits 18 feet from the Katz line and preserves privacy. Birdview's development pattern is unmistakable, lower in front, taller in the back. The proposed project breaks this long-established pattern. Roofline photography confirms, even with massing shifted to the rear, the applicant's entire ocean view is preserved. And importantly, there is a documented photo from 7322 Birdview on the same lot, the same size as the proposed project, showing that rear sighting fully maintains ocean views. The privacy loss, solar loss, and neighborhood disruption are not just harmful, they are completely unnecessary. Under LCP 13.9, a more damaging design cannot be approved when less damaging alternative exists. Point Dume is not a typical Malibu neighborhood. It is the gateway to the Point Dume Natural Preserve, one of Malibu's most iconic landscapes. Your mission statement requires protecting privacy, aesthetic values, rural character, the capacity of the area to sustain use. This project does the opposite. Point Dume has always been defined by modest height, wide setbacks, open space, natural light, and coastal quiet, not oversized structures built to the maximum envelope. This project violates findings required under all of these codes. General plan, vision, and mission. Preserving neighborhood character requires protecting privacy and open space. LU Policy 2.1.5, privacy and view balance. MMC 17.45.020, privacy and view protection. LIP 3.6, neighborhood character. LIP 6.4, CDP findings. LIP 13.26.5, variance findings. LIP 13.27.5, SPR findings. LIP 13.9, least environmentally damaging. LIP 6.5A3, prohibits using landscaping or vegetation as a substitute for proper siting and designed to avoid visual effects. LIP 17.62.040D5, solar access is mandatory. Single-family zone purpose and MMC rural definition. These findings must be made and cannot be made here. We should all be grateful that Malibu has these codes to protect our property rights as homeowners. Therefore, we respectfully ask the Commission to uphold them and protect the community they were written to defend by denying CDP 24-002 or require a full redesign shifting massing toward the rear, consistent with Malibu's rural character, privacy protections, solar requirements, neighborhood compatibility, and the general plan, LCP, LIP, and MMC. A 2-2 constitutes a denial, so really only 2 of you need to deny this project, but your residents would appreciate a 4-0 vote to deny. This out-of-town spec developer applicant has high-paid attorneys that I know well, but don't let that cloud your vision over your residents. Thank you for your time and your commitment and for protecting Birdview Avenue and Point Dume. I did use it all up, sorry.
8 minutes within 5 seconds, that's pretty good.
Robert Katz.
And Chair, if you could again read the names of the people.
Yeah, so we have, let's see, 5 minutes donated for a total of 8 minutes, and the people who donated are Cindy Katz. You just raise your hand, there we go. Nina Rabar, oh, okay. And Nick Katz, and Drew Ann Jacobson, and John Merrick. Okay.
To Commissioner Chair Riddick, other planning commissioners, and all other city officials that are here, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Robert Katz. I'm here with my wife, Cindy Katz, as an interested party in opposition to the proposed project at 7352 Birdview Avenue. Cindy and I have owned and lived only at 7332 Birdview Avenue every day since February of 1991, a period of close to 35 years come February. We don't own other homes. We don't have vacation property. We don't have investment property. In fact, we never even go on vacation. Previously, we lived at 28933 Selfridge Drive, also on Point Dume from 1987 until we moved into the present home on Birdview in 1991. Unfortunately, we lost that home in the fire. We are the adjacent property to the north of the proposed project. We are the property that is most significantly impacted by the proposed project. We raised our 3 children, Zach, Nick, and Zoe, here in Malibu. They went to all the public schools here in Malibu. They're all graduates from Malibu High School. As an attorney, it's my opinion that the proposed project is not in compliance. I can give a lot of examples, as Joe did, with many of the city ordinances, LCP, LIP, Malibu municipal codes, land use provisions, nor does it comply with the Malibu mission statement or its vision statement. But first, I'd like to go over the chronology of events that occurred here in this project. Cindy and I woke up on June 12th to 28-foot story poles directly, and I don't mean indirectly, directly over our house and our backyard, consisting of our swimming pool, patio, and entertainment area. The property is 405 feet in length. They put the story poles literally on top of where we live. Also, the story poles are almost 100 feet wide, consisting of 7 windows that they would like you to say have been downgraded by 44%. That's because those windows were 7 feet in height, the size of a door, 7 foot in height, okay, stretching 100 feet, peering into my home, into my living room, into my kitchen, into my dining room, and about 5 or 6 other areas of the home. They'll have you believe, oh, it's just 3 little skinny windows. Well, it's where I vegetate every night on my couch, not meditate, I'm sorry, vegetate. So I don't know what they're talking about. But so we awoke on June 12th to the story poles. We met at our house, as Sam Malkowitz said, on June 18th with city planners Courtney Brown and Renika Brooks, Sam Malkowitz, the applicant, property owner Michelle Bradway from out of town, and their construction superintendent, Pat Shin. All 3 of those individuals, plus the 2 city officials, expressed surprise, acted like, oh my God, I can't believe the obtrusive and negative impact that is provided to your home. They had never been to our home before. They never viewed the property from our home. They indicated a willingness to consider modifications, alternatives. The property owner of the proposed property, Michelle Bradway, literally put her arm around my wife and said, Cindy, don't worry about it. We'll fix this. I'm so sorry, blah, blah, blah. Nothing happened. July 1st, I write a letter to the applicant in good faith, trying to come up with a resolution that would satisfy our concerns and their interests. We're not against property rights at all. It's just that they need to be responsibly done. They need to take into consideration the existence of neighbors, and they need to be compliant. I proposed 2 alternatives. One, that the property be situated to the back, where it would not infringe on anybody's property, any neighbor's property, much like the property that is also adjacent to my home on the other side, 7322 and 7328, which is the identical size to their property. They've situated their house in the back. The setbacks may only be 7, 8, 10 feet, whatever, but it's irrelevant because their house is not situated near our home, doesn't hover right directly over it. I also proposed that they simply lower the roof from 28 feet to 18 feet or something that's agreed upon, so it doesn't, be so intrusive on our property. My suggestions made in good faith, okay, were met with mockery. I got a response July 9th from the applicant indicating that my proposals were not made in good faith, that they were drastic, that they were detrimental, that they were not true compromises. Nothing could be further from the truth. They were meant to be full compromises. There were mistakes in their statements on the plan. They state that I live in a 3-story house. I live in a 1-story house. 1-story house. that has one small portion of a loft in a small area that constitutes, I guess, a second floor, you know, in one small little room. It's a one-story house, not a three-story house, okay? You're talking about density and mass and things of that nature. My property is 1.4 acres. Their property is 0.7, although the city report will say it's 0.8. It's 0.7, okay? It's the same size as the other adjacent property at 7328. Yet they seek to build a home larger than my home. And I've got a pretty large home. My home is 5,716 feet. Their home is larger. You're supposed to be taking into consideration the density, the mass. Hasn't been done. There are various ordinances that have been violated. Courtney Brown sent me one for my reference. It is 13.26 with regard to exceptions for the 18 roof limitation on roofs. Okay, it specifically indicates that it cannot be detrimental or injurious to the property located in the same vicinity. My property is in the same vicinity. It's the adjacent property, okay? There are other things such as section 6.4 that states that requirements need to be
Mr.
released.
Katz?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm so sorry. So that is all the time that you have.
That's fine. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it very much.
All right, we're going to call up Pat Healy. I like your hat, Pat.
Thank you. Good evening, commissioners. Slow growth, I'm speaking for slow growth tonight, and there seems to be an alarming trend developing where staff recommends approval of single-family home projects if they meet development criteria without considering the impact of the project on the neighbors. Under City Policy 20, it says the city shall guard the well-being of and protect the private property of its residents. When a project is proposed for implementation, protection of the private property rights shall be the prime consideration in the property design. If in this instance the city failed to fully protect the property rights to the full extent possible of the applicant's next door neighbor, the Katzes, as required under this policy in the design phase. To protect the rights of the Katzes, this property can easily be set back further on the applicant's property. If it violates the backyard setback rules, the applicant should be granted a variance because of, it should be granted a variance so it can be set back. Let me see, where am I in my notes? Okay, at its present location, I think everybody can see that it's loss of the residents' privacy and their solar access. But I'd like to also add that it creates a nuisance and it prevents their quiet enjoyment of their property. So we ask you to correct the situation by requiring the applicant to relocate the project further back on their property, and this correction is needed to protect the existing property rights of the Katzes. And it's the same setback we're asking for. I think it's 73322 and 7328. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Laura Rosenthal.
Thank you and good evening. I would also like to speak in support of the Katzes. Neighborhood character is impacted as the homes in this neighborhood do not impinge on their neighbors' privacy and ability to enjoy their home. The siting of this home and the location of the second story severely impacts their neighbors' right to use and the enjoyment of their property. This is very easy to see when you go to the Katz's house. It's very egregious. There is a simple solution, and that is to move the home further back on the property. This city has always been concerned with development impacting longstanding neighbors, and I hope that you keep that in mind as you deliberate. This is not a friendly or neighborly development, but it could be if the applicants move the home further back in the property. Thank you.
John Ortiz.
Good evening, commissioners. Thank you for the time. I have visited the Katz residence numerous times, and it's a beautiful property, and I also live on Point Dume, and throughout my visits to the Katz residence, I was always amazed at the beauty that's there and the ability to have this tranquil setting in the backyard. And more recently, I had visited after the story poles were built along the property line, and it just doesn't make sense. It just stands out like a sore thumb, and has would really affect the quality of life for the cats and their enjoyment of privacy. And as a Malibu resident, I just think that we have to use common sense when developing these parcels so that everyone has not only their privacy, but the ability to continue to enjoy what they've strived for many years. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, so that closes the public. Oh, no, anybody on
Excuse me, Chair
Zoom?
Riddick.
Zoom?
There's one raised hand from Ryan.
Okay, Ryan. Ryan, are you there? Okay, we'll move on.
And Chair Riddick, following that, it would be back to the applicant team if they choose to have time. for
Okay,
that.
back to the applicant.
All right, Justin Trujillo again on behalf of the applicant. So it looks like I kind of hit the nail on the head with my preview of what you were going to hear tonight. So the opposition has argued that the proposed home will be too close or too tall to the neighboring residents. However, this contradicts all the objective evidence found in the staff report regarding this proposed project. It fully complies with the required setbacks, and it meets all the findings. There's substantial evidence that supports all the findings needed to make the height increase with the SPR. Further, setting the property back further into the property would actually make this project non-compliant with emergency access requirements. That's a big consideration of where the building is sited on the property. If we were to set it back further, as the opposition is requesting here, that would make this project non-viable. The emergency access requirements have to be complied with. It's non-negotiable. The neighborhood character claims are completely subjective. Staff had time to vet and verify our neighborhood character study, and they concurred with what it showed and recommended approval. that the proposed project is fully compliant with the existing neighborhood character. The required findings to protect solar actives for solar panels, opponents' statements regarding that are subjective. The staff conducted a study that was professional and based on objective data, and it found there were no impacts on solar access for solar panels. That's what the MMC protects. Regarding statements that the massing is too large for the lot, TDSF controls here, and that's based on the lot side. We're fully within the maximum TDSF allowed for this property. There's also been many statements about subjective impacts on views. These are also completely subjective and not supported by substantial evidence. Here, when you look at the substantial evidence, including the figure we showed that showed the primary view and the protected view from each property in the area, you can see objectively that there are no impacts on any protected views. Further, substantial evidence detailed in the staff report supports that each and every required finding for approval can be made here. Statements otherwise are completely subjective. These findings have to be made based on substantial evidence, which is facts and opinions supported by facts, not just what people think. Neighboring property owner would have you believe that living in a property for a long time creates some kind of special right to block or dictate the development on a neighboring property. While that may give you some more legitimacy in your comments, which we have fully considered here and gone above and beyond our requirements, it does not create a special right. Look through the municipal code, look through the LCP. There's nothing that gives you a special right to dictate compliant development on a neighboring property based on how long you've lived there. None of the required findings for the SPR to increase height require that neighboring properties can't see the building from their property. That's also something that's just incompatible with living in a neighborhood. Go to most neighborhoods around and you're going to see a neighboring property's building from any other property. It's not something out of the norm. We're not asking for something controversial here. The timeline the neighboring owner described also illustrates thoughtful consideration of their concerns. Not only has our applicant's team exchanged correspondence with them, they've visited their property, they've looked at these concerns. We've made changes to this that we did not have to make to address those concerns. However, we still want our property to be compliant with everything else that it needs to be compliant with, like emergency access requirements. So when they're asking to set the property back further and do something that would jeopardize that, it just doesn't work. Further, City Policy 20 is an aspirational policy to guide regulations that the city adopt, and it has been implemented through the adopted regulations and standard. And the project complies with all of those. The evidence is there in the staff report. It's substantial, objective evidence. Finally, compliant development on somebody's own property can't constitute a nuisance. There's just no legal basis for that. And I want to give the brief remaining time I have left to Sam Malkowitz.
Hello again. I just wanted to correct a couple of things that I heard in the opposition discussion. Our proposed development is not bigger than the Katz's existing home. They are constantly saying that our house is our proposed house is 7,000 square feet. It's not. It's 5,750 square feet with a 1,000 square foot subterranean garage that is not even accessible from to the house. You have to go outside to go to the garage. And so also, I just want to finish off by saying that, the property owner, Michelle, is constantly seeming to be referred to as an outsider. She wants to be part of this community and is kind of fighting tooth and nail to be part of this community. And I just really hope that the city can maybe open their arms a little bit more to people who want to actually become part of this community and help it become a family-oriented place like you guys aspire to do. So that will be it for us. And I really appreciate your time tonight. And yeah, thank you. And thank you to city staff as well.
All right, thank you. Okay, now it's time to close the public comment portion of the meeting, and we will bring it up to the dais for discussion.
Kellen, I have a question. So we have the staff report and then the MTC has a report that they gave us. Can we take that into consideration?
Yeah, if it helps you make a decision either way, you can.
They're saying certain numbers are not right that were on the staff report.
I mean, I would check with staff to see if they concur with that opinion. I mean, because we haven't vetted that letter, so I would lean on staff to respond to that information.
Okay, Tyler.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. If there's something particular that you want us to verify, we can most certainly do that.
I wish we had almost a write-up of.
As Kellen said, anything in the public record is fair game for you to consider. So staff report is just there as a factual basis. There's other facts that have been presented tonight, so you can weigh the body as a whole.
Joe, do you have a printout of your presentation? Yeah. I know, I saw the email, yeah, okay.
So let me ask a question. Did staff have a chance to review the report that was provided by the MTC?
Yes, staff did review the report that was provided by the MTC, but I did not have the opportunity to actually comb through the numbers and verify that either the setbacks were incorrect or the number of stories were incorrect.
John?
Your staff report had an analysis of the sun. Was that verified by our staff?
Yes.
So their comparison to that comparison, if there's a difference, you're saying you verified this city's version. They look like they came from the same place.
It looks like they use the same evidentiary source, but it depends on what parameters they put into the formula. So our staff report, Courtney's staff report, measured during certain times of the day. It didn't measure every hour of every single day, 365 days. What we did, and correct me if I'm wrong, Courtney, is measure peak hours in the winter and summer solstice to try to get a general idea. But the neighboring party could have took different measurements. That doesn't make either inaccurate. That just means that there's different measurements based on the plugs that were placed into the formula.
Can you describe what the codes say about access to solar?
So when you do a site plan review, the planning commission has to make, or the determining body, in this case the planning commission, has to make a finding that the proposed project will not affect solar access.
I have a question. Drew? I have a question in regards to that. So, as you said, you did it based upon optimum hours of solar charging per day. I have a solar system. I know that it's impossible to get sunrise to sunset 100% charging. The best times are between 10 and 2, basically, right?
That's what we use as a measuring factor.
That's what when solar companies.
But yes, that's what.
When solar companies do their analysis, that's basically how they do it. Also,
I'm just gonna say I mean, I did meet with the Katzes, I met with the applicant. I mean, I think the real issue here, I mean, we could talk about solar all day long. I don't think that's the real issue here. I think that this project is, it's a compliant project, except for that, we do have a variance that's being asked for, though it's de minimis or slight. But the real issue at hand is one issue. So let's just focus on that, and that is privacy. Yeah. So that being said, I know that in my discussions, I don't know if I'm allowed to say, but in my discussions with the neighbor, there was discussion about the windows and different ways to possibly mitigate. I know there have been some changes, and what I would really like to see is, a level of comfort
of what can be done by the applicant and what is acceptable, because I know the Katzes are not saying don't build something. I know that the Katzes understand that you can't move the house back. Unfortunately, as much as that's proposed, it's just not an option in this particular, for this particular project. The reason why is because they have to have emergency access.
They need to be 100 feet, I think, from the
I would
curb.
like to remind the audience members that there can not be any outbursts from the audience.
So what I would like to hear from the applicant is if you can explain why moving it back negates the project entirely. Can you explain that?
Chair, we would have to open the public hearing back up.
Well, then I want to,
You can ask a question.
I can't ask the applicant questions?
We can reopen the public
Okay,
hearing,
then
but we need
I'm gonna reopen the public hearing. Come on up.
And just for clarification,
clarify what that means.
if we're taking any new testimony from either any of the public comments or the applicant, the hearing is open. And so testimony is part of the public hearing, it has to be open.
I'm officially opening the public hearing because I think we got to get to the root of this issue.
Kellen, a question.
Sure.
Can you ask experts questions without opening the hearing, or do you always open the hearing whenever you ask anybody anything?
If it's staff, then we don't have to open the public hearing. But if we're taking testimony, which answers to these questions are, if it's a one-off question like, is the square footage right? And they say yes, we don't have to reopen it. But if we're having substantial discussions, then yes,
Well,
it should be
I
open.
can ask staff as well. Staff,
You're going to have to close the hearing if you can do that.
well, I can
Well, no.
keep it open and I can still ask staff. What I want to know is I want a very clear explanation as to why this project couldn't have been placed farther back.
Yeah, we haven't verified the applicant's claim that for whatever reason there's an access issue. We haven't looked into that.
Then go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So one of the first things that we did in development of this project is get LA County Fire approval, because it is incredibly hard to make, it can be incredibly hard to make LA County Fire and city standards and ordinances talk to each other and work together. So that's one of the main things that we did first, just to solidify, okay, fire access is secured, we can move on now. And so basically, I believe LA County Fire, your driveway can't be longer than 150 feet for them to pull straight in and straight out. So we're kind of butting up onto that buffer there, but also in moving it back, it does create a safety issue, because not only are we kind of entering into fire turnaround territory, but we're also, there are other project components involved, like moving the septic system, which has been very, very particularly planned for the exact spot that it's in to perk well, and other things like that. But I know fire safety, they want to probably be as close to the street as they can. If you want to speak to that more.
Yes, this is Alan Harris, the architect of record, McAlpin. In addition to what Sam just added, there's a certain distance they want to be maximum off the street. To go any farther than that, they require a hammerhead turnaround, which our lot is not wide enough to accommodate with their radiuses. They need a 20-foot wide driveway, and they'd have to be able to do a turnaround, or excuse me, a hammerhead turn, which is essentially a 3-point turn with a 50-foot long fire truck, and the lot's simply nowhere near wide enough to accommodate that. So we have set the house back, double the distance of the street average, and almost 30 feet past the required front yard setback, in deference to the neighbors on both sides to preserve views out and laterally to a degree. So I think there was mention of a house to the left of the opponent's property, which I believe actually has two houses, one much nearer the street and an additional house to the back of the lot, which was allowed prior to Malibu's incorporation when it was under county jurisdiction. So I don't think that argument has any merit or weight.
I have a question in regards to placement of the house too. in regards to, when you're building a house, you want to have the optimum view. Are you going to be creating a tunnel or something like that by moving the house back?
Well, 100%. We could improve our views drastically simply by, placing the house at the front yard setback. But we've deferred and set it back a distance we're still meeting fire ingress for the fire truck, but we're taking a back row posture to our immediate neighbors left and right for that reason. But yes, we are hindering our ocean views to accommodate neighbors being frontal.
To answer your question a little more directly, if we moved the house further back, we would be doing it at the expense of our ocean view from the second story.
Thank you.
Can we have Joe come up, because I see lots of hand movement?
No, we can't.
But it seems like there's a really good point that might be important to hear.
I agree with Marty. Come on up, Joe.
This has to be very brief. We've already had public comments.
Very
so-
brief, Joe. As you know, I'm dealing with hundreds of fire rebuilds in Big Rock with private roads that are 12 feet wide and they're 300 feet long, and the fire department is approving them. They're approving, and this just needs a 20-foot driveway.
That's an emergency. That's on an emergency declaration. Those homes, if they were applying for CDPs
But
today,
it's a fire department, needs fire department
We can't allow
approval.
this.
Okay, so we're gonna thank you, Joe. Thanks. Okay.
Could I ask a question, staff?
Yes.
I've been through a lot of hearings, and hardly ever has the subject privacy come up. The only one I can remember was about 25 years ago. We gave a variance to Jack Lemon because of his status on Broad Beach and a neighbor. But what is the code on privacy?
So there's no direct finding you need to make related to protection of privacy. There are, to the credit of the neighbor, references in the general plan and the LCP related to everyone should be afforded light and air. Very, very generally, that's what it says. So it's up for you guys if you want to incorporate the meaning of that. There's no specific finding you need to make towards light and air or privacy other than the solar one.
So there's nothing as far as sight?
Say that one more time.
So can you see me type privacy?
Right. There's nothing that requires the Planning Commission to make a finding related to protecting someone's privacy. Now, the Planning Commission in the past has added conditions of approval to try to be amenable to the neighbor, including, lessening windows on one side of the property or putting a screen wall over a deck. Like, there's mitigation measures that planning commissions in the past have taken to help the neighbor with privacy issues, but it's not required.
May I be recognized for a minute?
No, we've already had public comment.
I'm sorry, we need to ask
Everyone's given public comment.
audience members
Yeah,
to take a seat.
And you can ignore it, or you can take it into consideration.
I'm sorry, we do need to ask that.
Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna just close, and I'm sorry, Pat, but we're gonna close the public comment portion of the meeting and bring it back up to the dais, and I'm sorry if I made it a little disruptive, and I apologize, Pat. So we're closing the public hearing.
I'm sorry, Ms. Healy, we need to ask you to take a seat. The chair has closed public comment.
I understand that.
We understand the circumference of the challenge, and we've heard from the applicant, we've heard from the audience, and I think we understand what the challenges are.
Which is different. And you can ignore it.
20 seconds, Pat.
No, we've already, everyone is afforded public comment. We can't be giving extra time to people.
For 20 seconds, I think we can, Kellen.
We
It's 20
can't.
seconds.
It's legally not allowed.
Legally not allowed.
So,
Ask me a question.
I don't have a question for you.
We cannot. I'm sorry. Everyone is afforded their public comment time.
Commissioner, Chair, can we try to take point by point and see if we can make findings?
I have 3 points I just want to make.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Pat, you had your time. I appreciate it, and I hear you.
This is new evidence that they brought up.
No.
Excuse me, we must ask
We're
for
going to
no
go through the
disruption.
evidence. We're going to go through the evidence.
Based on our
Pat, up here.
policies for decorum.
Okay.
We need to.
It's my fault. I'm the one who let the cat out of the bag. I apologize.
So
let's do the findings. You want to take us through?
Kellen, I have a question. We've always been able to ask the applicant, questions after the hearing is closed.
If it is a substantive thing like we just did, we saw how much time was taken there, then it should be reopened. If it's not going to be a lot of time, there's no exact answer in the law about this. So
because I think there are so many things that came up, all I was thinking about were questions to pose to get clarity. We're getting completely two diverse opposite opinions here and trying to get, part of it's clarity for the public.
Of course.
And so that's the way I'm a little confused. I appreciate
No, if you have questions, that's fine. What we're trying to do is not allow extra time for them to speak just openly, but if they're direct questions, we can ask those.
Yeah, I understand. Thank you.
John?
That's why I've been trying to direct them to staff to get what the answers are without having to go back and forth to the public.
Let's keep going.
So I think staff can answer most of the questions.
Okay.
No, I was just trying to explain why we can't talk to them.
Well, do we have to make the finding that their privacy is sustained?
There's not a finding related to privacy that you need to make.
So how would that be something that we would?
So we can't, so privacy is not part of the findings. However, we can work to help mitigate the privacy issue. And I think that is ultimately what the Katz's would like. And if there's a way that we can do that that's amenable to the applicant as well, so that we can move forward, that's what I'm looking for. So if anybody has a suggestion.
Let's go ahead and start on point by point. Okay. Do you want to do this, or John, or I don't have to. Go ahead. Okay.
Drew,
okay. First of all, I guess the first thing we want to determine is that this is setbacks, everything is compliant to, as staff report said. So we're good with that, right?
I have a question to staff.
Okay.
Obviously, for example, on the solar access, if you're on PCH and you got a 3-foot distance between your house and the next one, you can't require solar access, can you? I mean, if it's impossible, it's impossible, right?
So it's only required for a site plan review.
Right.
So, so let's say in your example, if they did impact solar access on a neighboring property, but they're proposing something that was 18 feet or less, there's no requirement for solar access impact.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I have a question about that also.
For example, if your lot's not wide enough for a turnaround, you can't have a turnaround, so you've got to move it to where you can, correct?
Yeah. I mean,
or you're out of luck.
It's a design issue, so they have to work with the fire department to get a compliant design. Yeah.
So in regards to one more question about the solar blockage of the neighbor. Was that analysis done on the whole entire Katz house, or was it on the optimum position for solar panels up for their house?
The solar access analysis was looking primarily at the impact that it would have on the Katz's residents.
Okay. So the whole entire residence. So that's actually more obtrusive. When you're doing a solar analysis, they're not putting panels on 100% of a home. They're basically looking for a view that is the optimum to get the most light from it. So you understand where I'm going with this?
Yeah, correct. So the solar access analysis was taken from sunrise to sunset, and it looked at how the proposed development, how that height was going to impact the Katz's residents.
Can we put the slide up? Having put in numerous solar systems. I could tell you that getting optimum is about the best that you could hope for. You know, optimum hours of charging, you know, most people are, like, for example, on Elizabeth's house, her panels are pointing north, which are the least optimum direction that you could have them. Yeah. All right. Is there any way we could blow those up a little bit? Maybe the one on the left. There we go. All right. So the direction of the sun, can you explain, Tyler, can you explain this diagram to everyone?
Yeah.
Okay.
Courtney, do you mind just sharing what we're seeing here?
All right, so the image that we're seeing here is what it looks like during this, the spring solstice, March 20th of this year. And the center point where that red circle is, I don't know if you can see it, it's an open circle. Mm-hmm. That would be the midpoint of where the topmost pitch of the house would be. So it's 8.53 meters, but if you convert it to feet, it would be 28 feet. So that orange circle is the sun. And that yellow line that's drawn from that yellow is like where the sun is going to be projecting off of the house.
Okay, go ahead,
And the black line is where what shadow is being casted.
Okay, so at least 85% of the Katz's house is not impacted by this then.
So during this time of the year, at this snapshot in time, so we didn't measure 365 days.
I understand, but that
I just want to make sure it's clear.
That's beyond a reasonable ask for anyone that puts in a solar system.
Yes, so this image here is just showing what it looks like at 9 a.m. where there is a slight shadow that's being casted on the Katz's. I believe this is like a covered garage that they have. And so, but this is during the during the spring months where it's like the best time to collect solar. And if you like flip through the solar analysis, I do have include times where it's like that peak.
I just wanted to make sure that 100% of their ability was not infringed upon. They have a major majority. I feel personally comfortable. I don't know how the rest of the commissioners feel that it is not significantly impacted where there's not alternatives for them if they do decide to put in solar. That's the wrong slide. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm going to need to ask audience members to not shout out comments.
So
the public comment is closed.
First slide as well.
Can we see the first slide?
There's no shadow. So they only showed the slide with the shadow. Okay. So listen, I'm gonna come back to this again. I know that you want to go through the reality of this project, as I think the Katz's know, is it really actually is compliant. It's not a non-compliant project, but we have an issue, and that issue really is a privacy issue. So again, I'm going to just say you're asking for a 28-foot. You got 18 by right. What about a 24-foot in height? Is that? Go ahead. I mean, they've lowered the windows. They've taken out the stairwell. You can have trees. What can we do here?
We are 100% okay with reducing the overall height of the structure to 24 feet.
Am I allowed to ask the neighbors? I'm not? Okay.
No, we have a project in front of you.
Okay, we've got a
so-
project before us, and the applicant just said they're willing to reduce the height of the house to 24 feet. Drew?
I would recommend before you make that suggestion that what happens is that people will take that and then appeal it anyways. So I would probably make that contingent upon, you know.
Can we do that, though? Is that?
Again, I'm sorry that you can't ask questions directly from the audience.
Kellen, is that, can they make it a
If
Send them into the hallway to discuss? I mean, maybe that.
You can't stop people from appealing anything.
I mean, well.
we can't change the project
can't change the
that
project.
degree tonight
So
and approve it.
the
So it would
plan-
have to come back at a later date.
You can't lower the house by a substantial conformance?
The planning commission has to be very specific about what it is they're approving or denying tonight. There can't be a contingency condition like that says if they appeal, then this is off the table.
Well, I just want you to be aware that if you can make that, they could take that and then still appeal the project.
Isn't every house in the world more compliant being lower? So if we say, couldn't you go to every single house we approve that's 28 feet and say it's not compliant because it's not 27 feet?
I'm
Not
sure
compliant with what? I don't.
Not compliant with privacy. You can see more at 28 feet than you
No,
can see at 27.
Each project is looked at on its own, I think,
I
because
don't
it's
think
such
so.
a.
But I mean, that's physics.
Well, no, because it,
If you have a
Matt,
50-foot
John,
house,
John, that doesn't, we're really, let's just focus on this project.
But what I'm saying is we do not allow any side yard fencing over 6 feet.
No, I get that.
No, so
I get
isn't
that.
every house that's 28 feet
Yeah.
less private than a house that's
I was
24
gonna-
feet?
Depends where it's located and how big.
I was going to say, Joe's definition of rural in the MMC basically would make it impossible to build any house because every house is going to impact, in a neighborhood like that, or in Western Malibu, every house is going to impact the house right next door to it because they're going to be able to see it. You know, these are narrow lots.
So we don't want to, we're not going to.
The issue is the finding that.
Yeah, I think that, you know, my point is that the placement of the house is not, I think we can make the findings that the placement of the house is compliant.
Well, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, now, I will say I disagree with the Jeff Jennings definition. You can build a house anywhere you want if it's 18 feet. And this is not in our code. So the movement of a house can be done, but you have to look at what the other consequences are, and if they can't do it, they can't do it. Or it is a major detriment,
I
et
know,
cetera.
but what I'm saying is very specific. What I'm trying to do, and I would love it for it to be achievable, is to find a median where there's enough give to have this approved and move forward with a very specific condition. And I propose something, and I'm just trying to get a flavor of whether that does it. And that is, say they reduce the house to 24 feet. They've already reduced the windows. They've already taken out the stairwell window. They don't, I mean, you know, you have a compliant project, and unfortunately, as much compassion as I have, I mean, we have a project that actually it's compliant.
Can I ask another question?
I'm sorry, again, I'm going to ask all audience members to please refrain from speaking aloud while the commission is conducting deliberations.
Okay.
But I do have one thing to say about that, Rebecca, is I have taken part in these meetings over the last year where I have had an applicant and an opposition, you know, kind of working together right in front of me, and I don't see why we can't have that now. I mean, I've had that in this meeting when I wasn't chair. And
So what I'm hearing tonight is that the commission is trying to find a resolution between the two neighbors, right?
That's correct.
That's our goal. Is that?
I mean, what I have.
Hold on, Chair, real quick. I'm sorry. Is that the goal of the entire commission, or is there a different motion on the table?
Well,
I think we have a compliant project that meets neighborhood character for the site plan review. It's just that we have a neighbor that's very upset about it, and we're trying to figure out a way to make everyone happy.
Yes.
Can I comment?
Right.
But they're also not shaking their heads that that's not true.
I do think it is improper for us to negotiate and design projects from the table. I think it's not legal, and I think Kellen has said that. So you cannot get into that situation. This project, as I understand, is not appealable to the Coastal Commission. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so if somebody appeals this project, it's up to the city council. It ain't up to us, okay? Because we can't change it. You can't force it to be changed.
That's actually, but the applicant said there's not an issue with them reducing the height to 24 feet. And it doesn't substantially impact the design of the project. It doesn't substantially impact anything except for it could.
Except we have been instructed we can't do that, okay? So they would have to come back.
Okay.
Now, this is already.
No, that's not, no, John, I'm the chair, and that's not correct. We actually could make that a condition of the approval, and they would reduce the height. Isn't that correct?
You can, as long as you're specific and you say that 24 feet is approved and that the applicant cannot propose massing outside of the original proposal, something along those lines, to keep them in between the lines. They can't redesign the project and add massing here where it wasn't. So as long as the massing stays within the story pooled project, and you're saying no more than 24 feet is approved, something like that could be approved tonight. Now, I don't think that's gonna achieve the neighbors' concerns.
Okay, so
if
I
that's
agree.
what you're
So,
after,
okay.
that's not what's gonna achieve their concerns.
Go ahead, John.
So you're in a situation where either side can appeal, okay? And the only one that can decide is the city council.
All right.
Period. So that's what the situation we were in the last time. We didn't go to appeal or hearing. It got pulled to try to negotiate, okay? And theoretically, they negotiated. And theoretically, it came to, and I'm not saying they did or didn't, then it came to us in this form, okay? All we're doing is doing that over again.
John, I think you definitely have it right. In regards to what we should be doing here is making our findings. If the applicant and the neighbor can, if there happens to be an appeal, then they can sit there and do whatever they need to do to try to have a resolution, or it's up to the city council.
It seems like a waste of time to have to push this to city council when there's so much going on in our city, though. That's why I would think it would be good to.
There's 5,000, 6,000 people in the city who can appeal, okay? I found in my time here, you never know, okay? And so don't think, well, gee, we can solve this and nobody's going to appeal. That's a dream.
So, Chair, may I? I think first we have to determine if there is a decision that can be made tonight. So there's 4 of you up here. Maybe we should do a straw vote on the issues of this project and make the findings, because I'm hearing different things from the different commissioners and I don't hear a clear, concise decision.
I mean, I wish that the impact on neighbors was a finding that we could make. That's what I wish, because it seems so.
I have to do my due diligence for this community, okay? This body has to make a finding that this project meets the neighborhood character. That is the mechanism.
I have a question about that.
You can do it. Hold real quick, just let me finish. So, Commissioner Kamens, if there's something related to the neighborhood character that this project does not meet, then we need to discuss those things tonight, because that is a finding that this planning commission has to make if you're going to recommend approval or approve this project tonight.
So when I came in here tonight, prior to coming in here, I thought that the 7.5 foot setback was within neighborhood character, but then I've heard differing information. So I don't actually feel like I can weigh in on that.
No, staff makes that determination. You can ask him, is that compliant?
So the
But is that 7.5 foot setback accurate?
It's on a legal survey.
The 7.5 foot setback is the minimum required by the code, which is what they're proposing. They also provided a neighborhood character analysis in your packet that shows that there's other projects within the vicinity with the same or lesser. I'm not saying all, but there's definitely structures within the neighborhood that have 7 feet, 5 feet, 3 feet from the property line. If you just look at a general view, any of the pictures we saw tonight, you'll see that the majority of the houses just on that block and bird view are pretty close to the property line.
Don't they have to achieve 25%? Total?
25% cumulative, yes, as a design standard, yes.
Okay, so you understand, do you understand? So basically, between the two sides, it has to equal, the two sides together of the setbacks has to equal 25% of the width of the lot.
And it meets that.
And it meets it.
Yes.
And is that correct? Is that what's, because they're shaking their heads that they measured it and that's not accurate.
We verified those measurements.
You can't go by that, Marty.
Did we verify those measurements?
We did clarify those measurements when we conducted our story pole investigation. The contractor pulled out a tape measure, and I did take a photograph demonstrating that the proposed house would be set adequately from the northern property line, and it is actually included in the August 18th submittal packet.
Mm-hmm.
And Kellen, neighborhood character is of now?
Correct.
So in regards to there's a dispute in regards to, I know that what's the minimum amount of homes that need to be in a neighborhood to meet neighborhood character for over 18 foot?
So a neighborhood character analysis is actually not limited to the number of homes. It's a lot of times delegated to 500 feet because that's the typical radius for.
Yeah, a number, but you want to try to achieve.
So that's what was done here for this project. There's other projects where the neighborhood, you could say the neighborhood is the entirety of Birdview Avenue. You could say the neighborhood is the entirety of Point Dume neighborhood. So for a neighborhood character, it's not actually defined. What happens is the applicant submits a neighborhood character analysis, and the Planning Commission has to weigh, and that's in your packet tonight, the Planning Commission has to weigh if that neighborhood character analysis is sufficient to make a determination that this project is within the neighborhood character.
Okay, can I ask the applicant a question? Why?
Can I just say something about neighborhood character?
Yeah.
It isn't just 500 feet. There are definitions in the LIP about neighborhood access, characteristics, et cetera. So it's not always 500 feet.
I don't think this is a 5,000 square foot home with a basement.
The point and I'm going to make a motion and see if this makes any sense, because to me, what we're doing here is we can put a provision on this or a provision on that. In my opinion, you can't force anybody to do anything unless they're out of compliance. So we put a provision in here, it goes to City Council. That's the point I was trying to make earlier. It gets decided. Whatever we do here doesn't decide anything unless all of a sudden everybody here goes, I love you, let's do this. And we can't negotiate that, and I don't see that happening. So unfortunately, I would like to change things. I don't like big houses, and rarely have I seen a group come and object to something, and if they have the appeal process, not use it. One or two people, maybe, but yeah, so. I hate to be the guy to do this, but I think on the face of it, they meet the code, and the decision is these vague things like privacy and light and all this kind of stuff. And so I want to leave it up to City Council. I'll make a motion to approve it.
I'll second that.
By the way, I could make a motion to disapprove it, but I'd have to make the findings to disapprove it. And I don't think I can make.
There's no findings.
I can make a vague finding that is going to be hold up in any other kind of situation.
Go ahead, Rebecca.
Vice Chair Mazza?
I just wanted to add that I really feel for the neighbors, and just ethically to block a compliant development is something that we can't do. If the findings are there, we can't make any findings that they're.
Folks.
I'm sorry,
Okay, so
again,
we're
I'm
gonna
going,
take
I
it.
have to ask for
Okay,
the
but you
audience
don't
to
need to-
maintain the
We're gonna-
policy for decorum or leave the council chambers.
Rebecca, go ahead and do a vote.
Vice Chair Mazza?
Yes.
Commissioner Leonard?
Yes.
Commissioner Kamens?
Yes.
Chair Riddick?
Yes.
Motion carries. May I please ask all members of the audience to refrain from speaking until the meeting is fully adjourned? I believe the chair still needs to call item 8A.
If we adjourn.
Yeah, I move we adjourn.
Unless you guys want to say something.
Commissioner, no.
Comments went
Okay,
to the
unless
end.
Marnie, do you want to say anything else? No. Okay, nope, that's it, we're calling it.
And you can do that by verbal consensus if you would like on adjournment.
Yes.